When love can kill you, it's no longer a fairy tale. Lena Varelli never thought a glance could change a life. But when billionaire boss Adrian Calix, a man so perfectly suspicious, finally reveals his true colors, she realizes she's fallen in love with the most dangerous man in the city. Mafia. Blood. And a dinner invitation could be a deadly trap. This is a story about choosing between safe living and deadly love. Watch until the end, hit like, and leave a comment about the city you're watching in. Let me know how far this story has come. The coffee was too hot. Lena Varelli felt it through the porcelain, a small burn working its way into her palm as she stood outside the boardroom on the 47th floor. Her fingers trembled, just slightly, just enough that the cups rattled against each other on the silver tray. She steadied her breath, counted to 3, pushed the door open with her shoulder. Inside, the air was different, colder. The kind of cold that had nothing to do with the thermostat and everything to do with the 6 men in tailored suits who turned to look at her like she'd interrupted a funeral. Adrian Calix sat at the head of the table. He didn't look up right away. He never did. That was part of his routine, part of the carefully orchestrated dance they'd been doing for 8 months. She'd place his coffee, black, no sugar, always in the same mug, at his right hand. He'd nod without meeting her eyes. She'd leave, clean, professional, safe. But today, something was off. Lena moved through the room with practiced efficiency, distributing cups to the other men. They barely acknowledged her. She was furniture to them, a fixture. The efficient assistant who knew when to appear and when to disappear. She placed Adrian's coffee down last. His hand was already reaching for it when their fingers brushed. It was nothing. A half-second of contact, skin on skin. But when she pulled back, he looked up. And God, the way he looked at her. Not the usual glance, the absent professional acknowledgement of her existence. This was different. This was a stare that started at her eyes and didn't stop. That traced down her face and landed somewhere around her mouth before dragging back up. It was the kind of look that made her forget how to breathe. His eyes were dark, almost black in the fluorescent light, and there was something behind them, something raw and barely controlled, like watching a leashed animal realize the chain had slack. Lena's pulse kicked up. She stepped back. "Thank you, Miss Varelli," Adrian said. His voice was smooth, controlled, the same voice he used in every meeting, but his eyes hadn't moved. She nodded, turned to leave. "Actually," she froze. "Stay." The word hung in the air like a command, not a request. The other men shifted in their seats. One of them cleared his throat. Lena turned back slowly. "Sir?" Adrian leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled beneath his chin. "I'd like you to take notes on this meeting." That wasn't her job. She was an executive assistant, not a secretary. And he had a recording device sitting right there on the table, the small red light blinking. "Of course," she said anyway. She moved to the corner of the room, pulled out her tablet, and tried to ignore the way her hands were still shaking. The meeting continued. Something about acquisitions. Mergers. Legal structures she didn't fully understand. The men talked in circles, using words that sounded important but meant nothing. She typed mechanically, her focus split between the screen and Adrian. He was watching her. Not constantly, not obviously, but every time she glanced up, his gaze was already there, waiting. It made her skin prickle, made her aware of every movement, the way she crossed her legs, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the way her breath caught when his eyes lingered too long. The meeting ended after 40 minutes. The men filed out one by one, shaking Adrian's hand, murmuring things about follow-ups and next steps. Lena stayed in her corner, pretending to review her notes. The door clicked shut. She looked up. Adrian was standing now, hands in his pockets, silhouetted against the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked Chicago. The city sprawled out behind him, gray and vast and indifferent. "You can go," he said without turning around. Lena stood, smoothed her skirt. "Is there anything else you need, Mr. Calix?" "Yes." The word was quiet, almost lost in the hum of the ventilation system. She waited. He turned. The light from the window caught the sharp lines of his face, the hard jaw, the nose that looked like it had been broken once and set perfectly, the mouth that never quite smiled. "Have dinner with me." Lena blinked. "I'm sorry?" "Dinner," Adrian repeated. He took a step closer. "Tonight. No assistants, no board members, just us. Her brain stalled. Mr. Calix, I'm not asking as your employer. That stopped her. Because what the hell else would he be asking as? I don't understand, she said carefully. Adrian's expression shifted. Something flickered behind his eyes. Frustration, maybe. Or something darker. I've been professional with you for 8 months, Lena. I've kept my distance. I've played the part. His voice dropped. I'm done playing. Her name. He'd used her first name. In 8 months, he'd never... This isn't appropriate, she managed. I know. I could lose my job. You won't. You don't know that. I do. He was closer now. Close enough that she could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the shadow of stubble along his jaw. Because if you say yes, this stops being about work. Lena's heart was slamming against her ribs. And if I say no? Adrian's mouth tightened. Then we go back to coffee and nods, and I'll keep pretending I don't think about you every time you walk into a room. The honesty of it hit her like a punch. No games, no flirtation, just the blunt truth laid out between them like a weapon. She should say no. She should walk out of this room and straight to HR and report this entire conversation. That was the smart thing, the safe thing. But there was something in his voice, something desperate beneath the control, that made her pause. One dinner, she heard herself say. Adrian's expression didn't change, but something in his posture relaxed. One dinner. Where? I'll pick you up at 8. You don't know where I live. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. I know everything about you, Lena. That should have scared her. Maybe it did. But as she walked out of the boardroom and back to her desk, all she could think about was the way he'd looked at her, like she was the only real thing in a room full of ghosts. Lena's apartment was small. A studio in Logan Square with a window that faced a brick wall and a radiator that clanked like it was possessed. She'd lived there for 3 years, and in all that time, she'd never brought anyone back. Now she stood in front of her closet, staring at a row of clothes that suddenly seemed inadequate. What did you wear to dinner with a man who looked at you like Adrian Calix looked at her? What did you wear when you had no idea where you were going or what this even was? She settled on a black dress. Simple. Not too formal, not too casual. The kind of thing that could work at a restaurant or a funeral. Her phone buzzed at 7:55. Downstairs, no greeting, no preamble, just the facts. Lena grabbed her coat and keys and headed down. The car was black, sleek, expensive in a way that didn't need a logo. The driver, a stone-faced man in a dark suit, opened the back door without a word. Adrian was waiting inside. He'd changed. No suit jacket, just a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. It should have made him look casual. It didn't. If anything, it made him look more dangerous, like he'd peeled off a layer of pretense and what was left was sharper. You look nervous, he said as she slid in beside him. I am nervous. Good. The car pulled away from the curb. Lena watched the city blur past, streetlights and storefronts, and people living their normal, uncomplicated lives. Where are we going? She asked. You'll see. That's not an answer. Adrian glanced at her. You want honesty, Lena? That's what tonight is. No scripts, no performances. But that means you don't get to know everything up front. That's not fair. I never said it would be. The car headed north, away from the loop, away from the neighborhoods Lena knew. The buildings got taller, sleeker, the kind of area where doormen wore gloves and elevators required key cards. They stopped in front of a high-rise that looked like it had been designed by someone who thought glass and steel were personality traits. Adrian got out first, then offered his hand. Lena hesitated. You can still leave, he said quietly. Right now. I'll have the driver take you home. No questions, no consequences. She looked at his hand, then at his face, and took it. His grip was warm, steady. He didn't let go as they walked through the lobby, all marble and minimalist art, and into a private elevator. The doors closed. This isn't a restaurant, Lena said. No. Where are we? Adrian pressed a button. The elevator started to rise. My home. Her stomach dropped. You brought me to your apartment? Penthouse. That's not better. He looked at her then, really looked at her, and for the first time that night she saw something like uncertainty in his expression. "If you want a public dinner, I can arrange that. But what I need to tell you—" He stopped, started again. "It's not a conversation for a restaurant." The elevator climbed higher. Lena's ears popped. "What do you need to tell me?" she asked. The doors opened. Adrian stepped out first. "Everything." Alch. The penthouse was massive. Open plan, with windows that wrapped around the entire space, offering a view of Chicago that made Lena's studio look like a cardboard box. The furniture was expensive but sparse, like someone had hired a designer and then removed half of what they suggested. Adrian poured 2 glasses of wine without asking if she wanted any. "Sit," he said, gesturing to the couch. Lena sat. Took the glass he offered. Didn't drink. Adrian stood by the window, his back to her, staring out at the city. "I'm going to tell you something," he said, "and when I'm done, you're going to leave, or you're going to stay. But either way, nothing between us will be the same." Lena's pulse quickened. "You're scaring me." "I know." He turned. "The company, Calix Industries, it's real. The board meetings, the acquisitions, the legal paperwork, all of it. But it's also a front." She frowned. "A front for what?" Adrian set his glass down, walked closer. "My family doesn't just run businesses, Lena. We run Chicago, parts of New York, Los Angeles, Miami. We control shipping lanes, supply chains, entire markets that don't show up in any report you've ever typed." The words didn't make sense at first. She turned them over in her head, trying to fit them into the shape of the man she thought she knew. "You're saying you're—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "A criminal," Adrian said flatly. "Yes." Lena stood, the wine sloshed in her glass. "That's not funny. It's not a joke. You're a CEO. You have a Wikipedia page. You were in Forbes last year." "All true?" His voice was calm. Too calm. "The legitimate businesses are real. They make money, pay taxes, employ thousands of people. But underneath that, there's another structure. One my grandfather built. One my father expanded. And one I inherited when he died." Lena backed up a step. Then another. Her mind was racing, trying to reconcile the man in front of her with the words he was saying. "Why are you telling me this?" Her voice came out thin, strangled. Adrian's jaw tightened. "Because I kept my distance for 8 months to protect you. I didn't talk to you, didn't touch you, didn't let myself want you, because the moment you became part of my life, you became a target." He exhaled slowly. "But I can't do it anymore. I can't keep pretending you're just my assistant." Lena's back hit the wall. "So what? You thought you'd just confess and I'd be okay with it?" "No." He moved closer, and she hated that she didn't move away. "I thought I'd give you the truth and a choice." "What choice?" "You can leave right now. Walk out. I'll make sure you're never connected to me. New job, new city, if you want it. You'll be safe." "Or?" Adrian stopped in front of her, close enough that she could feel the heat of him, smell the faint trace of cologne mixed with something sharper. "Or you stay. You see the rest of it. And you decide if you can live with what I am." Lena's breath was coming too fast. "This is insane." "I know." "You're asking me to, what? Join the Mafia?" "I'm asking you to know me." His voice dropped. "The real me. Not the version I show the board. Not the person in the press releases. The man who's been lying to you since the day we met." She should run. Every instinct in her body was screaming at her to run, but there was something in his eyes, something raw and unguarded, that held her in place. "1 week," she said. Adrian blinked. "What?" "Give me 1 week. Show me your world, and at the end of it, I'll decide." He studied her face like he was searching for a trick. "You're serious? You said you wanted honesty. This is honest. I'm terrified. But I'm also—" She stopped, swallowed. "I need to know if what I feel when I look at you is real or just some fantasy I built around a guy who brings his own coffee mug to work." A slow, dangerous smile curved Adrian's mouth. "It's real. Prove it." Masik. The week started with Raphael. Adrian's younger brother was everything Adrian wasn't. Charming where Adrian was controlled, loud where Adrian was quiet, quick to smile in a way that never reached his eyes. They met at a restaurant in River North. Expensive. The kind of place where the menu didn't have prices and the waitstaff moved like ghosts. Raphael shook Lena's hand too long. "So you're the one," he said, grinning. "The one what?" Lena asked. "The one making my brother lose his mind." Raphael dropped into his chair and signaled for a bottle of something Lena couldn't pronounce. "He's been a wreck for months, snapping at people, staring into space during meetings. I thought maybe he had a brain tumor." "Raphael," Adrian said quietly. "What?" "I'm being friendly." Raphael turned back to Lena. "How much has he told you?" "Enough," Lena said. "Doubt it." Raphael leaned back, studying her. "You know what we do?" He said, "You run—" She hesitated. "Operations." Raphael laughed. "Operations. That's cute. We run the city, sweetheart. Drugs, guns, money. If it moves and makes a profit, we're in it." Adrian's hand tightened around his glass. "You don't need to explain it like that." "Why not? She asked for honesty, didn't she?" Raphael's smile sharpened. "Or did you give her the sanitized version? The one where we're just misunderstood businessmen?" Lena looked between them. There was tension there, old and familiar, like scar tissue. "I don't need sanitized," she said. "I need the truth." Raphael raised his glass. "I like her." The rest of the dinner was a blur of names and faces and details Lena struggled to keep straight. Raphael talked about supply chains and territories the way other people talked about fantasy football. Adrian mostly stayed quiet, watching her with an intensity that made it hard to focus on anything else. When they left, Raphael pulled Adrian aside. Lena pretended not to listen. "You sure about this?" Raphael asked, his voice low. "Yes." "She's a civilian, Adrian. You bring her in, you can't take it back." "I know." A pause. Then Raphael sighed. "Your funeral." Day 3, Adrian took her to the warehouse. It was on the south side, buried between abandoned factories and rail lines that hadn't been used in decades. The building looked like it should have been condemned, rusted siding, broken windows, graffiti crawling up the walls. Inside it was a different world, rows of crates, men in coveralls moving with military precision, forklifts beeping as they hauled pallets loaded with God knew what. "This is one of ours," Adrian said. "We move product through here, legal stuff mostly, electronics, car parts, but sometimes—" He gestured to a section in the back, cordoned off with yellow tape. "We move other things." Lena stared. "What other things?" "Guns, sometimes pharmaceuticals, depends on the contract." She felt like she was in a movie. A bad one. The kind where the protagonist makes terrible decisions and ends up dead in the third act. "Why are you showing me this?" she asked. Adrian turned to face her. "Because I need you to understand what you're choosing. This isn't a romance, Lena. It's not some story where the bad guy changes because he falls in love. I am what I am, and if you stay, you'll be part of it." Lena looked around the warehouse, at the men who worked without looking at her, at the crates that probably held things she didn't want to think about, at Adrian standing in the middle of it all, like a king surveying his kingdom. "Do you enjoy it?" she asked. He frowned. "What?" "This. The power, the control. Do you enjoy it?" Adrian was quiet for a long time. "No," he said finally, "but I'm good at it, and someone has to do it." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." Peace. Day 5, everything changed. They were walking back to Adrian's car after dinner, some Thai place in Pilsen that Lena had suggested because she needed something normal, something that didn't feel like a scene from The Godfather. The street was quiet. Too quiet. Adrian noticed first. His hand shot out, catching Lena's wrist. "Get down!" "What?" The first shot shattered the restaurant window behind them. Lena didn't think. She dropped, her knees hitting concrete so hard she felt the impact in her teeth. Adrian was already moving, dragging her behind a parked car as more shots rang out, sharp cracks that echoed off the buildings. "Stay down!" Adrian hissed. He pulled a gun from somewhere, his jacket maybe, or an ankle holster. Lena couldn't process it, and returned fire. The sound was deafening. Lena pressed her hands over her ears, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real, but the smell of gunpowder was real. The broken glass glittering on the pavement was real. The blood on Adrian's sleeve was real. "Are you hit?" she gasped. "It's nothing." He didn't look at her. His eyes were scanning the street, his gun steady. "When I say run, you run. Understand? I'm not leaving you, Guy." "Lena." His voice cut through the chaos. "If you stay, you die. So when I say run, you run." Another shot. Closer this time. Adrian fired back, twice, 3 times, and then it was over. The silence was worse than the gunfire. Adrian grabbed her arm and hauled her to her feet. "Move." They ran. Lena's heels slipped on the pavement, her lungs burning as Adrian pulled her down an alley and into a waiting car, different from the one they'd arrived in, driver already behind the wheel. The door slammed shut. The car peeled away from the curb. Lena couldn't stop shaking. Adrian was on his phone, barking orders in a voice she'd never heard before, cold, commanding, devoid of anything human. When he hung up, he finally looked at her. "You're bleeding," he said. Lena glanced down. Her palms were scraped raw from hitting the ground. She hadn't even noticed. "I'm fine," she whispered. "No, you're not." She looked up at him. At the blood on his sleeve, the hard set of his jaw, the gun still in his hand. "Who were they?" she asked. "Rivals. Someone who wants to send a message." "Were they shooting at you or me?" Adrian didn't answer. That was answer enough. Tomás. Day 6. Lena didn't leave her apartment. Adrian's men were outside, 2 of them, parked across the street in a black sedan. She could see them through her window. Her phone buzzed constantly. Texts from Adrian. Calls she didn't answer. She sat on her floor back against the wall and tried to make sense of everything. The gunfire. The blood. The way Adrian had moved, trained, efficient, like violence was a language he spoke fluently. She should have left after the first dinner, should have said no when he offered her this choice. But she hadn't, and now people were shooting at her. Her phone rang again. This time she answered. "I'm sorry," Adrian said. No greeting, just the apology, raw and immediate. "Are you?" Lena's voice was flat. "Yes." "Someone tried to kill me, Adrian. I know. Because of you." A pause. "Yes." Lena closed her eyes. "I can't do this." "Then don't." His voice was careful, controlled. "I'll have my men take you somewhere safe, out of state. You'll have money, security, everything you need. And you?" "I'll handle this." "That's not what I asked." Silence. "What happens to you?" Lena pressed. "I do what I've always done. I survive." Lena pressed her forehead against her knees. "This is insane." "I know. I should hate you." "You should." "But I don't." She heard him exhale, a shaky, unsteady sound that didn't match the man she thought she knew. "Lena, one more day," she said. "You have one more day to convince me this is worth it." Oh, Day 7, Adrian took her to the estate. It was outside the city, an hour's drive through suburbs that gave way to farmland and finally to a property surrounded by trees and high walls. The house was old. Not historic old, but family old, the kind of place that held generations of secrets in its bones. Adrian led her inside without speaking. They walked through rooms filled with dark wood and heavy furniture, past portraits of stern-faced men who looked like Adrian with different haircuts, past a library that smelled like leather and dust. He stopped in front of a door at the end of a long hallway. "This was my father's study," he said. "Why are we here?" "Because you asked for the truth." He opened the door. "This is where it starts." Inside, the room was frozen in time. A desk covered in papers, bookshelves lined with ledgers, a chair that looked like it hadn't been sat in for years. Adrian walked to the desk and pulled out a leather-bound journal. "My father kept records," he said. "Every deal, every decision, every person he had killed." Lena's breath caught. Adrian handed her the journal. "You want to know what I am? It's in here. The blueprint, the legacy." Lena took it. The leather was worn smooth, the pages yellowed. She opened it. The first entry was dated 30 years ago. A name, a location, a price. She flipped through the pages. More names, more prices. Neat, methodical handwriting documenting violence like it was accounting. He started when he was 23, Adrian said quietly. My grandfather brought him into the business young, taught him that loyalty was earned with blood, that fear was more valuable than money. Lena looked up. And you? I was 18 when he died. Raphael was 16. We inherited everything. Adrian's jaw tightened. I didn't want this. I wanted to go to college, study architecture, build things instead of tearing them down. What stopped you? Family, responsibility. He looked away. Fear. Fear of what? Of what would happen to Raphael if I walked away. Of what our enemies would do if they saw weakness. His voice dropped. Of who I'd become if I let all of this go to waste. Lena set the journal down. You became him anyway. Yes. Does that scare you? Adrian met her eyes. Every day. The honesty of it gutted her. She crossed the room, stood in front of him, close enough to see the exhaustion in his face, the weight he carried in the set of his shoulders. I can't save you, she said. I know. I can't fix this. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking? Adrian reached out slowly like he was afraid she'd pull away. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. I'm asking if you can live with it, he said. The violence, the danger, the fact that every day with me is a risk. His voice cracked. I'm asking if you can love a man who's done terrible things and will probably do more. Lena's throat tightened. I don't know. That's honest. She leaned into his touch. I should leave. You should. But I don't want to. Adrian's eyes searched hers. Why? Because when I look at you, I don't see the monster in that journal. I see someone who hates what he is but does it anyway. And that's... She stopped, swallowed. That's real. That's human. And I've spent my whole life around people who pretend to be perfect. I'm tired of pretending. His hand trembled against her face. Lena. She kissed him. It wasn't soft, wasn't gentle. It was 8 months of tension and fear and want crashing together all at once. Adrian's control shattered. He pulled her closer, his other hand tangling in her hair as he kissed her back like he was drowning and she was air. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Lena rested her forehead against his. I'm choosing this, she whispered. I'm choosing you. But if you lie to me, if you ever hide something this big again, I'm gone. I won't. Promise me. I promise. She believed him. God help her, she believed him. Ishapik. They stayed at the estate that night. In the morning, Adrian's phone rang. He answered it on the second ring, listened. His expression went dark. When? He asked. A pause. I'll handle it. He hung up and looked at Lena. What is it? She asked. Raphael found out who ordered the hit. And? Adrian's jaw tightened. It's someone inside our organization, someone close. Lena's stomach dropped. How close? Close enough that when I deal with them, it's going to start a war. She stood. What are you going to do? Adrian looked at her, really looked at her, like he was memorizing her face. Whatever I have to, he said. And Lena realized, standing there in a dead man's study with a man who'd just promised her honesty, that her choice wasn't over. It was only beginning. The drive back to the city felt longer than it should have. Lena watched Chicago's skyline grow on the horizon, steel and glass catching the morning light like broken teeth. Adrian hadn't spoken since they left the estate. His jaw was set, his hands tight on the steering wheel. He'd sent the driver away, said he needed to think. Lena didn't push. She'd learned that about him in the past week. When Adrian went quiet, it meant he was calculating. Running scenarios. Preparing for whatever violence came next. Her phone buzzed, a text from her roommate asking if she was alive. Lena had forgotten to check in, forgotten she had a normal life waiting somewhere outside this insanity. She typed back, I'm fine. Be home soon. A lie. She wasn't fine, and she wasn't sure where home was anymore. Adrian's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and answered without preamble. Talk. Raphael's voice came through the speaker, tinny and sharp. We found him. Marcus Lowe. He's holed up in an apartment in Bridgeport with 3 of his guys. You're sure it was him? Surveillance footage puts him at the scene, and one of his guys got sloppy, used a credit card at a gas station 2 blocks from the restaurant. Raphael paused. He's not trying that hard to hide, because he thinks we won't move on him, Adrian said. He's been with us for 12 years. His father died for this family. Marcus thinks that buys him immunity. Adrian's knuckles went white on the wheel. It doesn't. What do you want me to do? Nothing. I'm handling this myself. A beat of silence. Then Raphael's voice dropped. Adrian, if you kill him, Voss is going to lose his shit. Marcus is his nephew. I know who he is. Voss controls the unions. We need him. We don't need anyone who harbors traitors. Raphael exhaled slowly. This is a mistake. Noted. Adrian hung up. Lena stared at him. Who's Voss? One of our partners. He runs the Longshoremen's Union, controls most of the cargo traffic through the port. Adrian's voice was flat, mechanical. We've had an arrangement for 20 years. He looks the other way on certain shipments. We make sure his people get paid. And Marcus is his nephew. Yes. So if you kill Marcus, Voss will consider it a declaration of war. Adrian took the exit toward Bridgeport too fast. The tires squealed. But if I don't, every two-bit soldier in the organization will think they can take shots at us without consequences. Lena's stomach twisted. There has to be another way. There isn't. You could exile him, send him away, make an example without what? Adrian's eyes flicked to her. Without killing him. Lena, this isn't corporate. I can't just fire him and expect him to disappear. He tried to murder you. He failed. Now he's waiting to see if I'm weak enough to let it slide. So you're going to kill him because of me. I'm going to kill him because he broke the rules. That's not the same thing. Adrian pulled over. The car jerked to a stop in front of a shuttered bodega. He turned to face her, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. You wanted honesty, he said. Here it is. I've killed 11 men, some because they were threats, some because they were examples, some because I didn't have a choice. Marcus will be number 12, and the only difference is that this time I'm doing it for someone I care about. Lena felt the words like a slap. I didn't ask you to. I know, but you stayed. You chose this, and this is what it looks like. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that there was always another way, that violence only bred more violence. But the truth was sitting between them like a third passenger, heavy and undeniable. She'd stayed. She'd made her choice, and people were going to die because of it. I'm coming with you, she said. Adrian blinked. Absolutely not. You said I'm part of this now, so I'm coming. Lena, I need to see it. Her voice didn't shake. She was surprised by that. If this is my life now, I need to understand what that means. Adrian stared at her for a long moment. Then he put the car in drive. You stay in the car. No arguments. Fine. And if something goes wrong, if you hear gunfire or shouting, you run. You don't wait for me. You don't try to help. You run. Okay. He didn't look convinced, but he drove. The apartment building was a squat brick structure that looked like it had been ugly even when it was new. Graffiti covered the walls. Half the windows were boarded up. A dog barked somewhere inside, the sound echoing through the stairwell. Adrian parked half a block away, pulled a gun from under his seat and checked the magazine. His movements were smooth, practiced, like this was routine. Lena's heart was hammering so hard she could feel it in her throat. How do you know they're still here? She asked. Raphael has eyes on the building. 2 exits, front and back. Marcus's car is in the alley. Adrian tucked the gun into his waistband. He's here. What if he's expecting you? He is. That didn't make Lena feel better. Adrian opened the door, paused, looked back at her. Last chance to change your mind. I'm not changing my mind. Something flickered in his expression. Regret, maybe, or resignation. Then it was gone. He got out. Lena watched him cross the street, hands in his pockets, posture relaxed. He looked like someone out for a walk, not someone about to kill a man. He disappeared into the building. Lena sat in the silence, her breath fogging the windshield. The minutes stretched. She counted them. 1, 2, 5. At 7 minutes, the gunfire started. Not a lot. Just 3 shots, quick and sharp, like firecrackers. Then nothing. Lena's hands clenched in her lap. She wanted to get out, wanted to run inside and make sure Adrian was... The passenger door opened. She screamed. Raphael slid into the seat, hands raised. Relax, it's just me. Lena pressed a hand to her chest, her heart trying to break through her ribs. Jesus Christ, you can't just... Sorry. Raphael didn't look sorry. He looked wired. His eyes were too bright, his leg bouncing. Didn't mean to scare you. What are you doing here? Making sure my brother doesn't do something stupid. Raphael glanced at the building. How long's he been inside? 7 minutes, maybe 8. And you heard shots. 3 of them. Raphael nodded slowly. That's probably Marcus and his guys. Adrian's a good shot, doesn't waste bullets. Lena felt sick. You're talking about this like it's nothing. It is nothing. Marcus fucked up. Now he's dead. That's how this works. That's insane. Raphael turned to look at her. Really look at her. His expression was unreadable. You know what I thought when Adrian told me about you? I thought, great. Another liability. Another person we have to protect. I told him to end it, pay you off, send you somewhere quiet. And he told me to go to hell. Raphael smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. My brother doesn't fall for people. He's too controlled for that, too careful. But you got under his skin, and now he's inside that building killing someone because they took a shot at you. Lena's throat was tight. I didn't ask him to. Doesn't matter, he's doing it anyway. Raphael leaned back in the seat. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to sit here. You're going to wait for him to come back. And you're not going to fall apart, because if you do, it'll break him. And we can't afford that right now. I'm not going to fall apart. Good. The front door of the building opened. Adrian walked out alone. He moved quickly, but didn't run. His hands were clean. No blood. But Lena could see it in the set of his shoulders, the way he scanned the street. Something had gone wrong. He got in the driver's seat, didn't look at Raphael. We need to move, now. What happened? Raphael asked. Marcus had 4 guys, not 3. One of them got away. Shit. He'll go straight to Voss. Raphael swore under his breath. How much time do we have? Maybe an hour, less if the guy's smart. Adrian started the car and pulled into traffic. His jaw was clenched so tight, Lena could see the muscle jumping. She wanted to ask if he was okay, if he was hurt, but the words stuck in her throat. Raphael was on his phone, rapid-firing texts. I'm pulling everyone back to the north side. We need to fortify. No, Adrian said. We go to Voss directly. Meet him on neutral ground before he has time to organize. That's suicide. It's diplomacy. It's the same thing in this case. Adrian's hands tightened on the wheel. If we hide, we look guilty. If we meet him head-on, we control the narrative. The narrative is that you killed his nephew. The narrative is that his nephew tried to kill us first. Adrian's voice was sharp, cold. I'm not apologizing for surviving. Raphael stared at him, then shook his head. You're going to get us all killed. Maybe, but at least we'll die standing up. The meet was set for a warehouse near the docks. Neutral territory, owned by a third party who'd agreed to host under the condition that no one started shooting inside. Lena sat in the back of a different car, a armored SUV with windows so tinted she could barely see out. Raphael was driving. Adrian was in the passenger seat, silent and coiled tight. You shouldn't have brought her, Raphael said for the 3rd time. She stays with me, Adrian said. Voss is going to see her as a weakness. Voss is going to see her as a reason to think twice before starting a war. Raphael laughed bitterly. You really believe that? I believe Voss isn't stupid. He knows what a war will cost him. He also knows what loyalty costs, and family. Raphael glanced in the rearview mirror at Lena. No offense, but you're not worth the port of Chicago. Lena didn't take offense. He was right. They pulled up to this warehouse at dusk. The building was massive, corrugated metal, and shadows. A handful of cars were already parked outside. Men in dark coats stood near the entrance, smoking cigarettes and watching. Adrian got out first, opened Lena's door, and offered his hand. She took it. His palm was warm, steady, like he wasn't about to walk into a room full of people who wanted him dead. Raphael fell into step beside them. If this goes bad, you get her out. I'll cover you. It's not going to go bad, Adrian said. You don't know that. I know, Voss. Yeah, well, I know men who've lost nephews, and they don't usually take it well. Inside, the warehouse was cold. Their breath misted in the air. A single table sat in the center of the space, surrounded by chairs. Men lined the walls, Voss's people on one side, Adrian's on the other. And at the table sat Voss himself. He was older than Lena expected. Late 60s, maybe? Gray hair slicked back, a face like cracked leather. He wore a wool coat and a scarf, his hands folded on the table in front of him. He didn't stand when they approached. Adrian pulled out a chair for Lena, then sat down across from Voss. Raphael stayed standing, positioned behind Adrian's shoulder. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Voss said, "You killed my sister's boy." His voice was quiet, raspy, like gravel in a bucket. Adrian didn't flinch. "I killed a man who tried to kill me. Marcus was family. Marcus was a traitor." Voss's eyes narrowed. "You got proof of that?" "Surveillance footage, witness testimony, forensic evidence linking him to the shooting." Adrian's voice was steady. "He ordered the hit. I have the receipts." "Then you should have brought it to me. Let me handle my own." "And if you didn't? If you protected him because of blood?" Voss leaned back in his chair. "That's a hell of an accusation. It's a hell of a situation." A muscle in Voss's jaw twitched. "You think you're untouchable? Think because your grandfather built this city you can do whatever you want? I think I followed the rules. Marcus broke them. I responded accordingly. By putting 2 bullets in his head. 3, Adrian said quietly, and 1 in each of his associates. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Voss's hands flexed on the table. "You're a cold son of a bitch, you know that?" "I learned from the best." For a moment, Lena thought Voss was going to lunge across the table. His face went red, veins standing out on his neck, but he didn't move. Instead, he looked at Lena. "Who's the girl?" Adrian's posture shifted, barely perceptible, but Lena felt it. A tightening. A readiness. "A friend," he said. Voss smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "A friend. That's sweet. You bring her to a sit-down because you're sentimental or because you're stupid?" "I brought her because she's mine," Adrian said, "and I want you to remember that before you make your next decision." "Is that a threat?" "It's a clarification." Voss studied Lena like she was a puzzle. Then he laughed, a short, barking sound. "You're just like your old man. Same arrogance. Same certainty that the world owes you something." "I don't want the world. I just want what's mine." "And Marcus? Was he yours too?" "Marcus made his choice." "So did you." Voss stood. His men shifted, hands moving toward concealed weapons. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to pay restitution to Marcus's family, $500,000, cash, as an apology." Adrian's expression didn't change. "No." "No? I don't apologize for defending myself." Voss's smile vanished. "Then we have a problem." "We don't have to." Adrian stood as well, meeting Voss's gaze across the table. "Marcus tried to kill me. He failed. That's the end of it. You want war over that? We'll give you war. But you'll lose more than a nephew. You'll lose the port, the union, everything you've built." "You're threatening me in my own house?" "This isn't your house. It's neutral ground. And I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you the facts." Adrian's voice was ice. "You go to war with us. The other families will see weakness. They'll move on your territory while you're distracted. You'll be fighting on 3 fronts, maybe 4. And when the dust settles, you'll have nothing." Voss's jaw worked. "You think you're that strong? I think you're that smart." Adrian leaned forward slightly. "Marcus was a loss, I understand that, but he's not worth dying for, and he's sure as hell not worth destroying everything you've built." The silence stretched. Lena could hear her own heartbeat, could feel the weight of every eye in the room. Finally, Voss sat back down. "You got balls, kid. I'll give you that." He pulled out a cigarette, lit it with shaking hands. "But this doesn't end here. You made an enemy today." "I made an enemy the day I was born," Adrian said. "One more won't kill me." "We'll see about that. Matul, They left the warehouse without another word. Raphael drove. Adrian sat in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead. Lena was shaking. She couldn't stop. Her hands, her legs, everything trembling like she'd been electrocuted. "That was close," Raphael said quietly. Adrian didn't respond. "I'm serious. Voss wanted your head. If you'd pushed any harder, but I didn't." "No, you got lucky." "It wasn't luck." Raphael glanced at him. "What was it then?" "Calculation." Adrian finally turned his head. "Voss needs us more than we need him. He just needed to be reminded of that." "And if you were wrong?" "I wasn't." Raphael shook his head. "Someday that confidence is going to get you killed." "Maybe, but not today." They dropped Raphael off at a high-rise in the Loop. He got out without saying goodbye, just a nod to Adrian and a warning look at Lena that said, "Keep him alive." Then it was just the two of them. Adrian drove aimlessly for a while, through neighborhoods Lena didn't recognize, past parks and closed storefronts and streetlights that flickered like dying stars. "Are you okay?" she asked finally. "I don't know." The honesty surprised her. "Talk to me," she said. Adrian pulled over. They were somewhere industrial, warehouses and rail yards stretching into the darkness. He killed the engine and sat there, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. "I killed 4 men today," he said quietly, "and I didn't feel anything." Lena waited. "When I was younger, the first time I had to do it, I threw up afterward, couldn't sleep for a week. But today?" He looked at his hands. "Nothing. It was just mechanical. Pull the trigger, watch them fall, move to the next one." "You were protecting yourself." "That's what I tell myself." "It's true." "Is it?" He turned to her. "Or am I just good at justifying the things I do?" Lena didn't have an answer for that. "My father used to say that the measure of a man isn't what he does in the light. It's what he does in the dark, when no one's watching." Adrian's voice was hollow. "I think about that sometimes, about who I am when I'm alone, and I don't like what I see. Then change it." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because this is who I am, Lena. This is what I was made for, but..." He looked away. "And the worst part is, I'm good at it. I'm good at the violence, the control, the fear. I'm good at being my father." Lena reached out, took his hand. His fingers were cold. "You're not your father," she said. "You don't know that." "I do. Because your father wouldn't have hesitated. He wouldn't have doubted. And he sure as hell wouldn't be sitting here telling me he hates what he is." Adrian's throat worked. "It doesn't change what I did." "No, but it means you're still human." He closed his eyes, exhaled slowly. "I'm going to lose you over this. Eventually. You're going to wake up one day and realize what you've gotten yourself into, and you're going to leave." "Maybe." His eyes opened. "But not today," Lena said. "Today I'm here, and tomorrow I'll probably still be here, and we'll deal with everything else when it comes." Adrian stared at her like she was something impossible. "Why?" "Because I chose this. I chose you, and I don't give up on things I choose." He kissed her then, desperate and rough, his hand tangling in her hair, pulling her closer like she might disappear if he let go. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "I don't deserve you," he whispered. "Probably not." That startled a laugh out of him, short and broken, but real. "Come on," Lena said. "Take me home." Home turned out to be Adrian's penthouse. Lena's apartment felt too exposed now, too vulnerable, and Adrian wasn't about to let her out of his sight. They rode the elevator in silence. Adrian's hand never left hers. Inside, he poured them both whiskey. Neat. Handed her a glass and downed his in one swallow. Lena sipped hers. It burned. "How do you do this every day?" she asked. "You get used to it." "I don't think I will. You might surprise yourself." Lena wandered to the window. The city spread out below, a million lights burning against the dark. Somewhere down there, people were living normal lives. Going to dinner, watching TV, not thinking about bullets or blood or betrayal. She used to be one of them. "Do you regret it?" Adrian asked behind her. "Regret what?" "Staying." Lena turned. He was leaning against the bar, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. "Ask me tomorrow," she said. "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now." Adrian set his glass down, crossed the room until he was standing in front of her. His hand came up, cupped her face. "If you want out," he said quietly, "say the word. I'll make sure you're safe. You'll never have to see me again." "I don't want that." "Even after today?" "Especially after today." He searched her eyes. "Why?" "Because I saw who you really are. Not the CEO, not the criminal, just you. And I'm not afraid of that." "You should be." "I know." He kissed her again, slower this time, softer, like he was trying to memorize the shape of her mouth. They ended up in his bedroom, a space as minimalist as the rest of the penthouse. Just a bed and a chair and another window that framed the city like a painting. Lena didn't think. If she thought she'd talk herself out of this, she'd remember the gunfire in the warehouse and the look in Voss's eyes. So she didn't think. She let Adrian pull her onto the bed, let him kiss her until she forgot everything except the weight of him, the heat of his skin, the way he said her name like a prayer. Afterward, they lay tangled together, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her shoulder. "Lena?" "Yeah?" "Thank you." She lifted her head. "For what?" "For staying." She kissed his jaw. "Thank you for being honest." "Even when it's ugly?" "Especially then." He pulled her closer, and for a moment, just a moment, the world outside didn't exist. The morning shattered like glass. Lena woke to Adrian's phone ringing. He answered it on the first ring, his voice sharp. "What?" She couldn't hear Raphael's response, but she saw Adrian's face go tight. "When?" A pause. "How many?" Another pause. "I'm on my way." He hung up, looked at her. "What happened?" Lena asked. "Voss hit one of our shipments, burned it, killed 3 of our guys." Her stomach dropped. "I thought, you said he wouldn't—" "I was wrong." Adrian was already moving, pulling on clothes, grabbing his gun. "He's not going for a full war. He's bleeding us. Death by 1,000 cuts." "What are you going to do?" "Hit him back." He paused, looked at her. "You need to stay here. Don't leave. Don't answer the door for anyone except Raphael." "Adrian." "I mean it, Lena. Until this is over, you stay here. You're the only leverage Voss has against me. If he gets to you—" "He won't." "You don't know that." "Neither do you." His jaw clenched. "I can't lose you." "Then don't do anything stupid." He kissed her, quick, hard. "I'll be back." And then he was gone. Lena sat on the edge of the bed, her heart pounding. Outside, the city woke up. Traffic sounds, sirens, the ordinary chaos of morning. But inside the penthouse, everything was still. Too still. Lena's phone buzzed, a text from a number she didn't recognize. "He can't protect you forever." Her blood went cold. Another text. "Window behind you. Nice view." Lena spun around. The window was empty. 47 floors of empty air between her and the street. But someone was watching. Someone knew exactly where she was. Her hand shook as she typed back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately. "A friend. Leave him now or you'll die with him." Lena stared at the screen. Then the power went out. The lights died. The hum of electronics cut off. Even the elevator, she heard it stop mid-shaft with a metallic groan. She was alone in the dark, and someone was coming. The darkness was absolute. No emergency lights, no ambient glow from the street below, just black pressing in from all sides like a physical weight. Lena's breath came in short, panicked gasps. She fumbled for her phone, but the screen was dead. Not just off, dead, like something had killed it remotely. She backed away from the window, her hands outstretched, feeling for the wall. Her fingers found it, cold, smooth. She followed it toward where she remembered the door being. A sound stopped her. Footsteps. Not outside in the hallway. Inside the penthouse, someone was already in here. Lena's heart slammed against her ribs so hard she thought they might crack. She pressed herself against the wall, trying to make herself smaller, trying not to breathe. The footsteps were methodical, unhurried. Moving through the living room toward the bedroom, she had seconds, maybe less. Her hand found the door frame. She slipped through into the hallway, felt along the wall for another room, any room. Her fingers hit a handle. She twisted it, locked. The footsteps were closer now. She moved faster, her shoulder scraping the wall. Another door. This one opened. A bathroom. Small, marble floors and a glass shower enclosure that would hide nothing. She ducked inside anyway, eased the door shut, turned the lock with shaking hands. The click sounded like a gunshot in the silence. The footsteps stopped. Lena held her breath, counted seconds. 1, 2, 5. Then a voice. Male. Calm. "Miss Varelli." She didn't answer. "I know you're in there. The bathroom. Second door on the left." A pause. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to talk." Lena's hands were shaking so hard she had to press them against her thighs to make them stop. "Who are you?" "A friend of Adrian's. Someone who wants to help." "Adrian doesn't have friends who break into his home." A soft laugh. "Fair point, but these are unusual circumstances. How did you get in here? Service elevator? Maintenance access? There are always ways in if you know where to look." The voice was closer now, just outside the door. "And I've been looking at Adrian Calix's life for a very long time." Lena's mind raced. The building had security, cameras, armed guards. How had someone just walked in? Unless they had help. "What do you want?" she asked. "I want you to open the door. We'll talk. And then you'll decide whether you want to live or die today." That's not much of a choice. It's more than most people get. Lena looked around the bathroom. No windows, no other exits, just a toilet and a sink and a shower that wouldn't stop a determined child. She was trapped. "I'm going to count to 3, the voice said. "If the door isn't open, I'm coming through it, and then we'll have a very different conversation. Wait. 1. Lena's hand went to the lock. 2. She twisted it. The mechanism clicked. 3. The door swung open. The man standing in the hallway was not what she expected. He was older, 50s maybe. Gray hair cut military short, a face that looked like it had been carved from stone and left out in the weather. He wore dark clothes, no weapons visible, but Lena knew they were there. He looked at her the way a scientist looks at a specimen. "You're prettier in person," he said. Lena's jaw tightened. "Who are you?" "My name is Carter. I work for people who have a vested interest in seeing Adrian Calix removed from power." "Voss sent you?" Carter smiled. "No, Voss is an amateur. He's playing checkers. My employers are playing chess." "What do you want with me?" "I want you to deliver a message." Carter stepped back, gesturing to the living room. "Come, sit. This will take a few minutes." Lena didn't move. "I'm fine here." "You're not. But I admire the attempt at control." Carter walked away, assuming she'd follow. She did, because what else could she do? The living room was exactly as she'd left it, except now there was a man sitting on Adrian's couch like he owned it. Carter settled into the chair across from her, crossed his legs, pulled out a phone and set it on the coffee table. "Do you know what Adrian does, Miss Varelli?" he asked. "I know enough. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you look like someone who's stumbled into a world she doesn't understand and is trying very hard not to drown." Lena's hands clenched. "I'm not drowning." "No, you're just letting the current pull you under." Carter leaned forward. "Adrian Calix is not what he pretends to be. The corporate empire, the carefully maintained veneer of legitimacy. It's all smoke, and underneath there's rot." "I know what he is." "You know what he's told you. But there are things he hasn't told you, things he'll never tell you." "Like what?" Carter picked up the phone, tapped the screen, turned it to face her. The image was grainy. Security footage, timestamp from 8 months ago, right before Lena had started working for Adrian. It showed a warehouse, men loading crates into a truck, and in the corner, standing with his back to the camera, was Adrian. "Standard operation," Carter said. Moving product. Nothing special, except..." He swiped to the next image. The warehouse was on fire, bodies on the ground, blood pooling dark against the concrete. Lena's stomach turned. "There was a disagreement," Carter said, "about payment, about territory. Adrian resolved it the way he resolves all disagreements." Another swipe. "By killing everyone involved." The next image showed Adrian up close. His face was clear, and his expression cold, empty, like he was looking at furniture, not corpses. 12 men died that night, Carter said quietly. 3 of them were unarmed. 1 was 17 years old, and Adrian Calix walked away without a scratch. Lena couldn't look away from the screen. Why are you showing me this? Because you need to understand who you've attached yourself to. He's not some misunderstood anti-hero. He's a killer, a very efficient, very ruthless killer. And sooner or later, that's going to get you killed too. He wouldn't he? Carter swiped again. This image was different, newer. It showed a woman, young, pretty, dark hair and bright eyes. Her name was Sophia, Carter said. She was Adrian's assistant before you. She made the same mistake you're making, fell for the facade. Thought she could save him. Lena's blood went cold. What happened to her? She saw something she shouldn't have, asked the wrong questions, and one day she just disappeared. Carter's voice was flat. Official story is she quit, moved to Portland, but we both know that's not true. You're lying. Am I? He tapped the screen again. The next image made Lena's breath stop. It was a body, female, partially decomposed, found in the river according to the police report stamped across the bottom. Dental records identified her as Sophia Reeves. Adrian didn't pull the trigger himself, Carter said. He had Raphael do it. But he gave the order, and he slept just fine afterward. Lena stood. Her legs felt like water. I don't believe you. You don't have to. The evidence speaks for itself. Carter stood as well. I'm giving you a choice, Miss Varelli. The same choice Sophia should have been given. What choice? Walk away, right now. I'll escort you out of the building, give you new identity documents, money, a fresh start somewhere far from Chicago. He paused. Or stay with Adrian Calix and end up like her. Lena's mind was spinning. The images, the body, Sophia. She wanted to say it was fake, photoshopped, a manipulation. But deep down, in the part of her that had always known Adrian was dangerous, she believed it. Why would you help me? She asked. I'm not helping you. I'm helping myself. Carter moved toward the door. Adrian Calix is a problem my employers want gone. And the easiest way to remove him is to take away the one thing he cares about. Me. Yes. You leave, he falls apart, makes mistakes. And when he makes mistakes, we move in. Lena's throat was tight. So I'm just a tool to you. We're all tools, Miss Varelli. The only question is who's using us. He reached the door, opened it. The hallway beyond was dark, but Lena could see the elevator was working now. Emergency lights casting everything in red. You have 30 seconds to decide, Carter said. Stay and die, or leave and live. Lena looked at the phone still sitting on the coffee table, at the images of death and blood and a girl who'd made the wrong choice. Then she looked at the door and made her decision. Adrian's car screeched into the underground garage 20 minutes later. He was out before the engine stopped, Raphael half a step behind him. The elevator was working, power restored. But Adrian's gut was churning. Something was wrong. He'd called Lena 3 times. No answer. The penthouse door was unlocked. Adrian drew his gun. Raphael did the same. They moved through the apartment in silence. Living room clear, kitchen clear, bedroom empty. The bathroom door was open. Nothing inside. Adrian's chest tightened. Lena. No response. Raphael was checking the other rooms. She's not here. She has to be here. I told her to stay. Adrian! Raphael's voice was sharp. Adrian turned. Raphael was holding something. A phone. Not Lena's. Adrian took it. The screen was still on, showing the last image Carter had pulled up. Sophia's body. Son of a bitch, Adrian breathed. Who was here? Raphael asked. I don't know, but they knew exactly what to show her. You think she ran? Adrian wanted to say no. Wanted to believe Lena wouldn't. But he'd seen the look in her eyes when he told her about Marcus. The fear mixed with revulsion. She'd stayed then. But this was different. He dialed her number again, straight to voicemail. Find her, he said to Raphael. Where do I even start? I don't care. Use every resource we have. Check traffic cameras, credit cards, anything. Adrian's voice was shaking. Find her. Raphael nodded and pulled out his phone. Adrian stood in the middle of his empty penthouse and felt something crack inside his chest. She was gone, and he had no idea if she was running or if someone had taken her. Lena was in a car. Black sedan, tinted windows. Carter was driving. She watched the city blur past and tried not to think about what she'd just done. She'd left. Walked out without a word. Without even a text. Because the images had been too much. The body, the blood, the cold expression on Adrian's face. She'd wanted to believe he was different, that underneath the violence there was something worth saving. But Sophia's dead eyes stared at her from memory. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Airport," Carter said. Private terminal. There's a plane waiting." "To where?" "Does it matter?" Lena supposed it didn't. Carter glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "You're doing the right thing." "Then why does it feel like I'm dying?" "Because you've been conditioned to think you need him. Stockholm Syndrome. It's common in situations like this." "This isn't Stockholm Syndrome." "No? What is it then?" Lena didn't answer, because she didn't have one. They drove in silence for another 10 minutes. Then Carter's phone rang. He answered on speaker. "Yeah? We have a problem." The voice was female, clipped, professional. "What kind of problem?" "Calix knows. He's mobilizing. We're tracking 3 teams converging on O'Hare." Carter swore. "How the hell?" "He has access to traffic cameras. Probably spotted your vehicle. Then we divert." "To where?" "He's got eyes everywhere." Carter's jaw tightened. He hung up, changed lanes abruptly. "What's happening?" Lena asked. "Adrian's coming for you." Her heart lurched. "I thought you said he'd fall apart." "I underestimated how quickly he'd recover." Carter's hands were tight on the wheel. "Doesn't matter. We'll get you out." But there was something in his voice that sounded like doubt. They turned onto a side street, then another, heading away from the airport now. "Where are we going?" Lena demanded. "Safe house. We'll regroup, figure out another route." "I don't want to go to a safe house. I want—" "What you want doesn't matter anymore, Miss Varelli." The words hit her like a slap. Carter met her eyes in the mirror, and for the first time she saw it. The coldness, the calculation. He wasn't saving her. He was using her. "Let me out," she said. "Not an option." "I said let me out." "And I said no." Carter's voice was steel. "You're valuable. And valuable things don't get to walk away just because they change their minds." Lena's hands went to the door handle. Locked. She tried the window. Wouldn't open. "Childproof locks," Carter said. "Standard precaution." Panic clawed up Lena's throat. "You lied to me." "I gave you what you needed to hear. Now you're going to give me what I need." "Which is what?" "Leverage against Adrian Calix. A way to draw him out. And when he comes for you, and he will, we'll be ready." Lena slammed her hand against the window. "You son of a bitch!" Carter hit the brakes. The car screeched to a stop in the middle of an empty street, warehouses on either side. No witnesses. He turned around in his seat. "Listen very carefully, Miss Varelli. You have 2 choices now. You can cooperate, make this easy, and maybe you survive. Or you can fight me and I'll put a bullet in your knee and drag you to the safe house anyway." "Adrian will kill you." "Adrian will try, but he'll be too focused on saving you to be smart about it, and that's when my employers will move." Carter smiled. It was the worst thing Lena had ever seen. "You're the bait, and he's the fish, and all you have to do is stay alive long enough for us to reel him in." Lena's mind raced. She needed to stall, needed to think. "What did Adrian do to you?" she asked. "Nothing. This isn't personal." "Then why?" Because someone is paying me a great deal of money to remove him from the board, and I'm very good at what I do." A phone buzzed. Carter checked it. His expression shifted. "What?" Lena asked. Carter didn't answer. He put the car in gear and accelerated. Lena twisted to look out the back window. 3 cars were behind them. Black SUVs, moving fast. Adrian had found them. The chase lasted 4 minutes. Carter drove like he was trying to shake the hand of God, whipping around corners, running lights. The SUVs stayed with him. Lena braced herself against the seat, her heart in her throat. Then Carter made a mistake. He took a turn too fast. The tires lost grip. The car fishtailed, clipped a parked truck, and spun. They hit a light pole. The impact was deafening, metal screaming, glass exploding. Lena's head cracked against the window. Pain bloomed white-hot behind her eyes. When the world stopped moving, she was hanging sideways in the seatbelt, blood running down her face. Carter was slumped over the wheel, not moving. Lena fumbled with the seatbelt. Her fingers were numb. She couldn't make them work. The driver's side door was ripped open. Adrian. He looked like something carved from rage. His face was a mask of fury and fear. Lena. His voice cracked. She tried to speak. Couldn't. Blood in her mouth. Adrian cut her seatbelt with a knife that appeared from nowhere, caught her before she fell, pulled her out of the wreckage. Raphael was there too, gun out, scanning for threats. "We need to move," he said. Adrian ignored him. He was checking Lena over, hands on her face, her neck, her ribs. "Are you hurt?" His voice was shaking. "Lena, talk to me. Are you hurt?" She coughed, tasted copper. "I'm okay." "You're bleeding." "Head wound. It's fine." "It's not fine. Jesus Christ, you're—" He stopped, swallowed. "I thought I lost you." "Adrian, don't. Don't say anything. Just—" He pulled her against his chest, held her so tight she could barely breathe. Lena felt him shaking. Raphael cleared his throat. "We really need to go. Police will be here in minutes." Adrian pulled back, looked at her. "Can you walk?" "I think so." He kept an arm around her anyway, helped her to the SUV. As they drove away, Lena looked back at the wreck. Carter was still inside, not moving. "Is he dead?" she asked. "I don't know," Adrian said. "And I don't care." Lena closed her eyes, let the exhaustion wash over her. She'd run, and he'd come for her anyway. They didn't go back to the penthouse. "Too exposed," Adrian said. Instead, they drove to a building Lena didn't recognize. Industrial, anonymous. Inside, it was different, clean, sterile, like a bunker. Raphael disappeared to make calls. Adrian took Lena to a bathroom and gently cleaned the blood from her face. The cut on her forehead was shallow. It had looked worse than it was. "Why did you leave?" Adrian asked quietly. Lena looked at him, at the exhaustion in his eyes, the fear he was trying to hide. "He showed me things," she said. "Photos. Of you. Of bodies." She swallowed. "Of Sophia." Adrian went very still. "Sophia. Your assistant before me. He said you—" Her voice broke. "He said you had her killed." Adrian's hands stilled on her face. "And you believed him." "I saw the photos, her body, the police report. And it never occurred to you that those could be faked?" Lena's breath caught. "Were they?" Adrian stepped back, ran a hand through his hair. "Sophia's alive. She's in Seattle. She quit because she got a better job offer. I helped her move, paid for the truck. Then who— I don't know whose body that was, but it wasn't Sophia." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Call her if you don't believe me. I'll give you her number." Lena felt like the floor had dropped out. Why would he lie? To get you to run. To make you doubt me. Adrian's voice was bitter. And it worked. "I'm sorry. Are you?" He looked at her. "Because from where I'm standing, you didn't trust me. You saw some photos and you just—" He stopped, shook his head. "You ran." "I was scared. So was I. Every day since I met you, I've been terrified that something like this would happen, that someone would use you to get to me, and I tried so hard to keep you safe." His voice cracked. "But I can't protect you from yourself." Lena's eyes burned. "I made a mistake. You could have died. I know. You could have—" He turned away, pressed his palms against the sink. His shoulders were shaking. Lena moved closer, put a hand on his back. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I can't do this." His voice was raw. "I can't keep wondering if you're going to run the next time someone shows you something that scares you." "I won't." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because I ran, Adrian, and it was the worst thing I've ever done. I got halfway to the airport and all I could think was that I'd made a mistake, that I should have stayed, should have talked to you first." He didn't turn around. "I love you," Lena said. The words hung in the air between them. Adrian's head dropped. "Don't." "Why not?" Because love isn't enough, not in this world. Then what is? He finally turned. His eyes were red. Trust, and you don't trust me. I do. You ran, Lena. And I came back. You didn't come back. I dragged you out of a car wreck. She flinched, because he was right. Adrian moved past her, toward the door. Where are you going? She asked. To find out who Carter was working for. And then I'm going to kill them. Adrian? He stopped. Didn't look back. Raphael will take you somewhere safe. Somewhere they can't find you. And when this is over, you can decide if you want to stay or go. I've already decided. Decide again. His voice was flat. Because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep choosing between protecting you and protecting myself. The door closed behind him. Lena stood in the empty bathroom, blood on her shirt, tears on her face. And for the first time since this started, she wondered if she'd already lost him. Raphael found her an hour later. She was sitting on a cot in what looked like a storage room, staring at nothing. You okay? He asked. No? He sat down beside her, pulled out a flask, took a drink, offered it to her. She took it. The whiskey burned. He'll forgive you, Raphael said. You don't know that. I know my brother. He's angry, scared, but he'll come around. Lena handed back the flask. What if I don't want him to? Raphael raised an eyebrow. What if I'm the problem? Lena said quietly. What if every time I'm near him, people get hurt? That's not how this works. Isn't it? Carter used me to get to Adrian, and it almost worked. What happens next time? Next time we'll be ready. Will we? Lena looked at him. Or will I just be a liability? Something Adrian has to protect instead of... She stopped. Instead of what? Instead of someone who can stand beside him. Raphael was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You want to know what I think? Not really. He told her anyway. I think you're the first person in 10 years who's made Adrian feel human. And that scares the shit out of him, because being human means being vulnerable. And in our world, vulnerable means dead. So what do I do? You decide what you're willing to sacrifice. Because this life, it takes everything. Your safety, your peace, your illusions. And if you're not willing to give that up, you should walk away now. And if I am, Raphael looked at her, really looked at her. Then you stop running, and you learn how to fight. Adrian was in the basement. It was the kind of basement people didn't talk about. Concrete walls, a drain in the floor, tools hanging on pegboards that had nothing to do with construction. Carter was tied to a chair in the center of the room. He was awake, barely. Adrian had been working on him for an hour. I'm going to ask you one more time, Adrian said. His voice was calm, too calm. Who hired you? Carter spat blood. Go to hell. Adrian hit him. The sound echoed off the walls. Carter's head lolled. You're wasting your time. I don't know names, just account numbers. Then give me the account numbers. And you'll let me go? Adrian smiled. It was the worst smile Lena had ever seen, and she wasn't even in the room. No, Adrian said, but I'll make it quick. Carter laughed. It turned into a cough. You think you're in control here? You think killing me changes anything? It changes how I feel. They'll send someone else, someone smarter, someone who won't underestimate you. Carter's eyes were glassy. You're a dead man, Calix. You just don't know it yet. Adrian leaned in close. Maybe, but I'll take a lot of people with me. He pulled out his gun. The door opened. Lena stood there. Adrian froze. Don't, she said. Lena, get out. No. She walked into the room, forced herself not to look at Carter, not to see the blood or the bruises or the way his hands were tied. She looked at Adrian instead. If you kill him, she said quietly, you become exactly what they think you are. I am what they think I am. No, you're more than that, and I need you to prove it. Adrian's hand shook. The gun wavered. Please, Lena whispered. For a long moment he didn't move. Then he lowered the gun. Carter laughed, wet and broken. You're weak, just like your father said. Adrian's finger was back on the trigger before Lena could blink. Adrian, she said. He fired. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Carter slumped in the chair, dead. Adrian dropped the gun, turned away. His chest was heaving. Lena didn't move. Couldn't move. She'd asked him not to kill, and he'd done it anyway. "Get out," Adrian said without looking at her. "Adrian, I said get out!" His voice cracked like a whip. Lena backed toward the door. Her hands were shaking. Her vision was blurring. She turned and ran. Tag. She made it to the bathroom before she threw up. Her whole body was shaking, the sound of the gunshot echoing in her head. Raphael found her there. "You shouldn't have gone down there," he said. "I had to." "Why?" "Because I thought—" She stopped, wiped her mouth. "I thought I could stop him." "You can't stop Adrian from being who he is. You can only decide if you can live with it." Lena closed her eyes. "I don't know if I can." "Then leave." "I tried that. It didn't work. Try harder." She looked up at him. "Is that what you want? For me to leave?" Raphael was quiet for a long moment. "I want my brother to survive, and I don't think he will if he keeps trying to be two people at once." "What does that mean?" "It means he's killing himself trying to be the man you need and the man this business requires. And eventually, one of those is going to win." Raphael's voice was soft. "I just hope it's the right one." He left her alone. Lena sat on the cold tile floor and tried to figure out what the hell she was doing. She'd fallen in love with a killer, and he'd killed for her. And she didn't know if that made her complicit or just naive. Adrian found her 2 hours later. She was in the storage room, still sitting on the cot, staring at nothing. He stood in the doorway. Didn't come in. "I'm sorry," he said. Lena looked up. "For what?" "For making you watch that." "You didn't make me. I chose to go down there." "You shouldn't have had to choose." Lena stood, walked to him, stopped just out of reach. "Why did you do it?" she asked. "After I asked you not to." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Because he knew things, names, locations. If I let him live, he'd use them against us. So it was strategic." "Yes." "Not personal." A pause. "Both." Lena nodded. "And next time?" "Next time what?" "Next time someone threatens me. Next time you have to choose between being the man I need and the man this life requires. What will you choose?" Adrian looked at her, really looked at her, and she saw the exhaustion there, the weight. "I don't know," he said finally. It was the most honest thing he'd ever said to her. Lena closed the distance between them, took his hand. "Then we figure it out together," she said. Adrian's fingers tightened around hers. "I killed a man tonight." "I know. And you're still here." "I'm still here." He pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. And for the first time since this started, Lena felt him break. Not violently, not dramatically, just a quiet collapse. Like all the walls he'd built finally crumbled. She held him while he shook, while he tried to breathe, while he whispered things she couldn't quite hear. And when he finally pulled back, his eyes were red but clear. "I need to tell you something," he said. "Okay? The people who hired Carter, I know who they are." Lena's stomach dropped. "Who?" Adrian's expression went dark. "The Syndicate, an organization that controls most of the eastern seaboard. They've been trying to move into Chicago for years. My father kept them out. I've kept them out. But now they're making a play." "What kind of play?" "The kind that ends with everyone I care about dead." He squeezed her hand. "Including you." "So what do we do?" "We fight or we run." "Which one do you want to do?" Adrian looked at her. "I want to burn them to the ground. But that means war. Real war. The kind that leaves bodies in the street and your face on every news channel." "And running?" "Means giving up everything. The business, the city, the life I've built." His voice dropped. "It means starting over." Lena thought about it. About the penthouse and the boardrooms and the careful control Adrian wrapped around himself like armor. And then she thought about the basement, the gun, the way Adrian had looked when he pulled the trigger. "I can't make this choice for you," she said. "I'm not asking you to. I'm asking if you'll stand with me, whatever I decide." Lena looked at their joined hands, at the blood still under Adrian's fingernails, at the man who'd killed for her and the man who was asking her to stay. "I'll stand with you," she said. Adrian's breath left him in a rush. "You're sure?" "No, but I'm here anyway." He kissed her, desperate and hard. When they broke apart, he said, "I'm choosing war." Lena's heart clenched. "Okay. It's going to get worse before it gets better." "I know. People are going to die." "I know. And you might be one of them." Lena cupped his face, forced him to look at her. "Then teach me how to survive." Adrian stared at her, then nodded. "Okay," he said. "Okay." They stood there in the dim room, holding each other like they were the only solid things in a world coming apart. And maybe they were. The next morning, Raphael called an emergency meeting. Every major player in Adrian's organization was there. Soldiers, lieutenants, people Lena had never seen before. They gathered in a warehouse on the south side, the kind of place where conversations happened that nobody wanted recorded. Adrian stood at the head of the table. Lena stood beside him. She could feel the eyes on her, the judgment, the questions. Raphael cleared his throat. "We've confirmed Carter was working for the syndicate. They've been planning this move for months, maybe longer." "How many people do they have in the city?" someone asked. "We don't know. But we're assuming everyone is compromised until proven otherwise." Murmurs around the table. Adrian raised a hand. Silence fell. "This is a fight for survival," he said. "The syndicate wants us gone. They want our territory, our operations, everything we've built, and they're not going to stop until they get it. So we hit them first," another voice said. "No." Adrian's voice was steel. "We're not starting this war, but we're damn sure going to finish it." Lena watched him, watched the way he commanded the room, the way men twice his age nodded and listened. This was who he was, not the CEO in the suit, not the man who poured her coffee. This. And she'd chosen it. The meeting went on for another hour. Strategies, targets, contingencies. When it was over, Raphael pulled Adrian aside. Lena couldn't hear what they were saying, but she saw Raphael gesture at her, saw Adrian shake his head. They argued. Brief and intense. Then Raphael walked away. Adrian came back to her. "We need to go." "Where?" "Somewhere safe. They're going to come for us tonight. I can feel it." "How do you know?" "Because it's what I would do." They left through the back entrance, got into another car, drove through streets that all looked the same. Lena's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You chose wrong." She showed it to Adrian. His expression went dark. "They're watching." "How?" "I don't know, but we need to—" The first explosion took out the car in front of them. The second one hit the building to their left. Adrian yanked the wheel. The car fishtailed, tires screaming. "Get down!" he shouted. Lena ducked. Glass shattered. Metal shrieked. The world became noise and fire and the smell of burning rubber. Adrian kept driving, hands white on the wheel, eyes wild. They made it 3 more blocks before the third explosion hit. This one was under them. The car flipped. Lena felt herself flying, weightless, time stretching like taffy. Then impact. Everything went black. When Lena opened her eyes, she was on her back, staring up at smoke and sky. Her ears were ringing. Her whole body hurt. She tried to sit up, couldn't. Something was pinning her legs. She looked down. The car was upside down, crushed, and her legs were trapped under the door. "Adrian," she tried to say. It came out as a whisper. She turned her head. Pain lanced through her neck. Adrian was 10 feet away, on his stomach, not moving. Blood pooled under his head. "Adrian!" This time it came out as a scream. He didn't move. Lena pulled at her legs. They wouldn't budge. She pulled harder. The pain was blinding. Footsteps approached. Multiple sets. Men in dark clothes. Guns drawn. They surrounded the wreckage. One of them leaned down, looked at Lena. "Well," he said, "this is unfortunate." He raised his gun, pointed it at her head, and Lena realized she was about to die. The gun was steady. Black. The muzzle looked like a tunnel to nowhere. Lena stared into it and thought about how stupid it was that this was the last thing she'd ever see. The man's finger tightened on the trigger. A gunshot cracked through the air. But Lena didn't feel it. The man above her jerked. His eyes went wide. Blood bloomed across his chest. He fell sideways. Behind him stood Raphael, gun raised, face carved from stone. "Get away from her," he said. The other men turned, raised their weapons. Raphael fired first, twice, 3 times. 2 men dropped. The third got a shot off. Raphael twisted. The bullet caught him in the shoulder. He didn't stop, fired again. The third man went down. Silence. Just the ringing in Lena's ears and the smell of gunpowder and blood. Raphael holstered his gun, moved to the wreckage, started pulling at the twisted metal pinning Lena's legs. "Can you feel them?" he asked. His voice was tight with pain. "Yes," Lena gasped. "Good. That means they're not broken. Probably." He pulled harder. The metal groaned. "This is going to hurt." "I don't care, just—" Raphael yanked. The door shifted. Lena's legs came free. She screamed. The pain was white-hot, radiating up from her ankles to her hips. Raphael caught her before she fell. "I got you, I got you." Lena's vision swam. "Adrian, where's— I'll get him. Can you stand?" "I don't know." "Try." He helped her up. Her legs nearly buckled, but she locked her knees, held on. Raphael moved to Adrian, rolled him over gently. Adrian's face was covered in blood, a gash across his forehead. His eyes were closed. "Is he—" Lena couldn't finish the question. Raphael pressed 2 fingers to Adrian's neck, waited. "He's alive. Unconscious. But alive." Lena's breath came out in a sob. Raphael pulled out his phone, barked orders at someone, then hung up and looked at Lena. "We have maybe 2 minutes before more show up. Can you walk?" "I'll crawl if I have to." "Good, because we're not staying here." He pulled Adrian up, got him over his shoulder in a fireman's carry. Blood dripped from Raphael's shoulder where he'd been shot, but he didn't seem to notice. Lena limped beside him. Every step felt like knives in her shins. They made it half a block before the SUV screeched up beside them. The door opened. 2 men Lena didn't recognize jumped out, helped Raphael load Adrian into the back seat. "Hospital?" one of them asked. "No, Raphael said. "Too exposed. Take us to the clinic on Ashland." They peeled away from the curb just as another explosion lit up the sky behind them. Lena looked back. The entire block was on fire. "They're trying to erase us," Raphael said quietly. "Everyone who was at that warehouse. Everyone who knows what's coming." "How many made it out?" Lena asked. Raphael didn't answer. That was answer enough. The clinic was a storefront wedged between a laundromat and a closed-down bodega. It didn't look like much from the outside. Inside was different. Medical equipment, clean white walls, a doctor who didn't ask questions. They carried Adrian to a bed in the back. The doctor, an older woman with gray streaks in her black hair and steady hands, started working immediately. Cleaning the wound, checking his pupils, taking vitals. "Concussion," she said after a few minutes. "Severe, but no skull fracture that I can see. He'll need a CT scan to be sure." "Can you do that here?" Raphael asked. "No, he needs a hospital." "Not an option." The doctor looked at him. "Then I can't guarantee he'll wake up." Raphael's jaw tightened. "Do what you can." She turned to Lena. "You're limping. Let me see." "I'm fine." "You're not. Sit." Lena sat. The doctor examined her legs, probed gently. Lena hissed in pain. "Severe bruising, possible hairline fracture in the left fibula. You're lucky it's not worse." She wrapped both legs in compression bandages. "Stay off them for at least 48 hours. "Can't," Lena said. "Then you'll do permanent damage." "I'll take that risk." The doctor shook her head, but she didn't argue, just finished wrapping and moved back to Adrian. Raphael pulled Lena aside. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About what happens next." Lena looked at Adrian, at the blood still matting his hair, at the rise and fall of his chest. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I mean, we're out of options. The syndicate hit us hard. We lost 15 people tonight, maybe more. Our safe houses are compromised. Our supply lines are cut. And Adrian—" He stopped, swallowed. Adrian's not in a position to lead right now. So what are you saying? Raphael met her eyes. I'm saying someone needs to make decisions. And until Adrian wakes up, that someone is me. Okay, so make them. I need to know if you're with us. Lena frowned. What kind of question is that? The kind that matters. Because the next 48 hours are going to be hell. And I can't afford to have someone on the team who's going to hesitate when things get ugly. I'm not going to hesitate. You did before. When you ran. Lena's hands clenched. That was different. Was it? Because from where I'm standing, you're still a civilian playing dress-up. And when the bullets start flying, really flying, I need to know you're not going to freeze. I won't. Raphael studied her. Prove it. How? He pulled out a gun, held it out to her. Lena stared at it. What am I supposed to do with that? Learn how to use it. Because in about 6 hours, we're hitting the Syndicate's operations center, and everyone who can hold a weapon is coming with me. I don't know how to... Then you learn, fast. Raphael's voice was hard. This isn't a request, Lena. This is survival. You want to stay with Adrian? You want to be part of this? Then you need to be able to defend yourself, because I can't protect both of you. Lena took the gun. It was heavier than she expected. Cold. 6 hours, Raphael said. Be ready. He walked away. Lena stood there holding the weapon and wondering what the hell she'd gotten herself into. But the next 4 hours were a blur. One of Raphael's men, a quiet guy named Marcus who looked about 19, taught her the basics. How to hold the gun, how to aim, how to breathe. They practiced in the basement of the clinic, shooting at paper targets pinned to sandbags. Lena's hand shook the first dozen times she pulled the trigger. The recoil jarred her wrists. The sound made her ears ring even through the protection. But Marcus was patient. He showed her again and again, adjusted her stance, her grip. By the 100th shot, her hand stopped shaking. By the 200th, she was hitting the target, not the bullseye, but close enough. You're a natural, Marcus said. I'm terrified. Good. Means you're smart. He reloaded her magazine. Fear keeps you sharp. It's when you stop being afraid that you get sloppy. Have you done this before? Actual combat, I mean. Marcus's expression went distant. Yeah. What's it like? Loud, confusing, nothing like the movies. He handed her the gun. And if you're lucky, it's over fast. And if I'm not lucky, then you keep shooting until it is. Lena aimed at the target, fired. The bullet punched through just left of center. She fired again, closer, again. Dead center. Marcus whistled. Okay, maybe you are a natural. Lena lowered the gun. Her arms were shaking from exhaustion. I don't want to kill anyone. You might not have a choice. There's always a choice. No, Marcus said quietly. There's not. Not in this world. Adrian woke up 2 hours before the operation. Lena was sitting beside his bed when his eyes opened. He stared at the ceiling for a long moment, then turned his head. Hey, he said. His voice was rough, dry. Hey. Lena's throat was tight. What happened? Explosion. Car crash. You hit your head. Adrian tried to sit up, groaned, fell back. Don't, Lena said. The doctor said you need to rest. How long was I out? About 4 hours. Where's Raphael? Planning the counterattack. Adrian's eyes sharpened. What counterattack? Lena explained. The losses, the decision to hit back, the timeline. Adrian's jaw tightened with every word. When she finished, he said, That's suicide. Raphael doesn't think so. Raphael's an optimist. It'll get him killed. Adrian pushed himself up despite the pain written across his face. I need to talk to him. You need to rest. I need to stop my brother from walking into a trap. He swung his legs over the side of the bed, stood, swayed. Lena caught him. Adrian, I'm fine. You're not. You can barely stand. I'll manage. He pulled away from her, took a step. His legs buckled. Lena caught him again. Please, just wait. Talk to him when he gets back. Adrian looked at her, really looked at her. You're wearing tactical gear. Lena glanced down. She'd changed into the dark clothes Raphael had given her. Fitted pants, a vest, boots? Raphael said everyone who can hold a weapon is going, she said. Adrian's expression went dark. Absolutely not. It's not your decision. The hell it's not. You're not trained. You're not. I've been training for the past 4 hours. Lena pulled out the gun Marcus had given her. And I'm a decent shot now. Adrian stared at the weapon, then at her. You think 4 hours makes you a soldier? No, but it makes me less of a liability. You're still not going. Yes, I am. Lena, you don't get to protect me anymore, Adrian? Not from this. I chose to stay. I chose this life, and that means I fight. His hands clenched. I can't lose you. Then don't. Come with us. Lead the attack. I can barely walk. So lean on me. Adrian's breath came out shaky. This is insane. This whole thing is insane, but we're doing it anyway. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, but you stay by my side the entire time. You don't break formation. You don't take risks. Understood? Understood. And if I tell you to run, you run. No arguments. Adrian, no arguments, Lena. That's the deal. She nodded. Okay. He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. I love you. The words hit her like a physical thing. He'd never said it before. I love you too, she whispered. Then let's make sure we both survive this. Raphael's face when he saw Adrian was a mix of relief and fury. What the hell are you doing out of bed? He demanded. Coming with you, Adrian said. You're concussed. I'm functional, and you need me. What I need is for you to not die. Then make sure the plan is solid. Raphael's jaw worked. Then he gestured to the table covered in blueprints and photos. Fine. Here's what we know. The Syndicate's operations center was in a converted factory on the west side. 3 floors. Minimal windows. 1 main entrance and 2 emergency exits. Intelligence suggested 15 to 20 people inside at any given time. Armed, trained. We go in fast, Raphael said. 2 teams. One hits the front, creates a distraction. The other comes in through the loading dock, takes out communications first, then works up. How do we know they'll be there? Adrian asked. Because we leaked false intel that we're hitting their shipment at the docks tonight. They'll pull resources there, leave the center lightly defended. Adrian studied the blueprints. It's risky. Everything's risky right now. What's the exit strategy? Same way we came in. 2 minutes to neutralize threats, 2 minutes to secure intel, 2 minutes to get out. 6 minutes total. Yes. That's tight. It's what we have. Adrian looked at Lena. You're with me. We're on the second team. Agreed, Raphael said. I'll take the front. Marcus and Elena will come with me. Who else do we have? 7 more. That's it. Everyone else is scattered or dead. Adrian's expression went grim. 10 people against God knows how many. 11, Lena said quietly. Both brothers looked at her. I count, she said. Raphael almost smiled. Yeah, you do. They moved out at midnight. 2 vans. Dark. Nondescript. The kind that disappeared in traffic. Lena sat between Adrian and Marcus in the back of the second van. Her heart was trying to beat its way out of her chest. Adrian's hand found hers, squeezed. She squeezed back. The factory loomed ahead, dark against the darker sky, a few lights burning in the windows. The vans split. Raphael's headed for the front. Theirs circled to the loading dock. They parked in an alley half a block away. Adrian checked his gun, chambered around. Stay close. Stay quiet. And for God's sake, don't shoot unless you're sure of your target. Lena nodded. Her mouth was too dry to speak. They moved through the shadows. 6 of them, silent as ghosts. The loading dock door was locked. One of the men, tall, scarred, pulled out tools. Picked it in under a minute. The door swung open. Inside was darkness and the smell of motor oil and rust. Adrian led the way, gun up, each step measured. Lena followed. Her own weapon felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. They climbed stairs. Concrete. The sound of their footsteps muffled but not silent. At the second floor landing, Adrian held up a fist. Everyone stopped. Voices. Coming from the hallway ahead. Two men. Talking. Laughing about something. Adrian made a gesture. Two of his people moved forward. Disappeared around the corner. A scuffle. Brief. Quiet. Then silence. Adrian moved again. They found the communication room exactly where Raphael's intel said it would be. One man inside, sitting at a bank of monitors. Headphones on. He didn't hear them enter. Adrian crossed the room, put the gun to the man's head. "Don't move!" The man froze. "Kill the comms," Adrian said. "All of them." "I can't." Adrian cocked the hammer. "Wrong answer." The man's hands flew over the keyboard. One by one, the monitors went dark. "Good. Now get up. Slowly." The man stood. Adrian zip-tied his hands, shoved him toward Marcus. "Watch him," Adrian said. Then he turned to Lena. "You okay?" She nodded, couldn't find words. An explosion shook the building. Raphael's team, the distraction, shouting erupted from below, footsteps pounding. "That's our cue," Adrian said. "Move." They went up. Third floor, where Raphael's intel said the syndicate kept their records. The hallway was empty, doors lining both sides. Adrian kicked the first one open. Empty office. Second door. Same. Third door. Gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through the doorframe. Adrian dove left. Lena dove right. More gunfire. Deafening in the enclosed space. One of Adrian's men went down, clutching his stomach, blood pooling. Adrian returned fire. 3 shots. Precise. The shooting stopped. Adrian moved into the room, gun up. Lena followed. 3 bodies, 2 men, 1 woman, all dead. And behind them, a wall of filing cabinets. "This is it," Adrian said. Grab everything you can carry." They pulled files, laptops, hard drives, stuffed them into bags. Another explosion, closer this time. "We need to go," Marcus said. "Now." Adrian grabbed one more file, shoved it in his jacket. They ran. Back down the stairs, through the loading dock, out into the night. The front of the building was on fire, flames licking up the facade. Raphael's van was already pulling up. They piled in. "Go!" Raphael shouted. The driver hit the gas. They made it 2 blocks before the factory exploded. The shockwave rocked the van. Windows shattered. Someone screamed, but they kept moving. They regrouped at a warehouse on the south side. Different from the first one. Smaller. Older. Raphael was bleeding from a cut above his eye. Elena, a woman Lena had barely spoken to, had a bullet graze on her arm. Adrian looked pale, shaking slightly, but standing. "Count," he said. Raphael checked. "We lost 2, Simmons and Kev." Adrian's expression didn't change, but Lena saw his jaw tighten. "What did we get?" he asked. Marcus dumped the bags on a table. Files spilled out. Laptops clattered. Raphael started sorting through them. Financial records, communications, names. He pulled out a ledger, flipped through it. His eyes widened. "Holy shit!" "What?" Adrian asked. "They've been paying off half the city. Judges, cops, politicians." Raphael looked up. "Including Voss." The room went silent. "Voss has been working with the syndicate?" Adrian's voice was ice. "According to this, for the past 6 months. That's why he went after you. They told him to." Adrian snatched the ledger, read it himself. His knuckles went white. "That son of a bitch," he breathed. "What do we do?" Raphael asked. Adrian looked up. His eyes were flat, empty. "We end it. Tonight." "Adrian, we just barely made it out of—" "I don't care. Voss betrayed us, sold us out, and now he's going to answer for it. We're exhausted. Half our people are injured. We need to regroup. Plan—" "No more planning." Adrian's voice cut like glass. "No more waiting. We hit Voss now, before the syndicate can retaliate, before anyone else dies." Raphael stared at him. "This is suicide." "Maybe, but I'm doing it anyway." "Adrian, I'm not asking permission, Raphael. I'm telling you what's happening. You can come with me or you can stay here. Your choice." The brothers locked eyes. Finally, Raphael nodded. "Okay, but we do this smart. No cowboy shit." "Agreed." Adrian turned to the room. Anyone who wants out, leave now. No judgment. But if you stay, you're with me until the end. No one moved. Lena felt something swell in her chest. Pride. Fear. She wasn't sure which. Adrian's eyes found hers. You should sit this one out. No. Lena, I'm with you. Until the end, remember? He looked like he wanted to argue, but he just nodded. Okay, he said. Then let's finish this. Voss lived in a brownstone in Lincoln Park. Old money neighborhood. Quiet streets. The kind of place where people minded their own business. They parked 3 blocks away. Walked the rest. Adrian moved like a man possessed. Pain etched into every step, but he didn't slow down. Raphael had tried one more time to talk him out of it. Adrian had shut him down. Now they stood outside Voss's house, lights on in the second floor, a car in the driveway. He's home, Raphael said quietly. Good. Adrian checked his gun. 2 of you cover the back, the rest with me. They moved into position. Adrian walked up to the front door. Didn't bother knocking, just kicked it in. The alarm screamed. Adrian ignored it, moved through the house like he owned it. Shouts from upstairs. Footsteps pounding. A man appeared at the top of the stairs. Gun raised. Adrian fired first. The man fell. They climbed the stairs. Lena's heart was hammering so hard she could barely breathe. More gunfire. From the bedroom. Raphael returned it. Someone screamed. Then silence. Adrian pushed open the bedroom door. Voss was sitting on the edge of the bed, hands raised, his face pale. Adrian, he said, we can talk about this. No, Adrian said. We can't. He raised his gun. Wait! Voss's voice cracked. I had no choice. The syndicate, they would have killed my family, my grandkids. I had to. You sold us out. I was trying to survive. So were we. Adrian's finger tightened on the trigger. Lena wanted to look away. Couldn't. Please, Voss whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so... Adrian fired. The sound was deafening. Voss slumped backward, eyes still open, staring at nothing. Adrian lowered the gun, turned away. His face was blank, empty. It's done, he said. Raphael was staring at the body. We need to move. Cops will be here in minutes. They ran, down the stairs, out the back, through the alley. Sirens wailed in the distance. They made it to the vans, piled in. As they pulled away, Lena looked back. The brownstone was already surrounded by flashing lights. Adrian sat beside her, staring at his hands. They were shaking. Lena took one, held it tight. He didn't look at her, just squeezed back. Is it over? She asked quietly. No, Adrian said. It's just beginning. They drove for hours, switching vehicles twice, doubling back, making sure they weren't followed. By the time they reached the final safe house, a cabin 2 hours outside the city, dawn was breaking. Everyone was exhausted, covered in blood and dust and trauma. Raphael organized watch shifts, checked weapons, counted supplies. Adrian sat on the porch, staring at the trees. Lena joined him. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Adrian said, I killed him. I know. I looked him in the eyes, and I killed him. He betrayed you. That doesn't make it easier. Lena didn't have an answer for that. I'm becoming my father, Adrian said quietly. Exactly what I swore I'd never be. You're not... I am. I can feel it. Every decision, every body, every time I pull that trigger, I'm one step closer to being him. Then stop. Adrian looked at her. What? Stop. Walk away. Right now. We take whatever money you have. We leave the country, start over somewhere the syndicate can't find us. You think it's that simple? I think it can be. If we choose it. Adrian's laugh was bitter. There's no walking away from this, Lena. Not now. Not after everything that's happened. Why not? Because they'll never stop hunting us. The syndicate, the families, everyone we've crossed, they'll find us, and they'll kill us. So we die running instead of fighting. At least we're together. Adrian stared at her. You'd really do that? Give up everything? For you? Yes. His eyes were wet. I don't deserve you. Probably not. Lena moved closer. But you have me anyway. He kissed her, desperate, clinging. When they broke apart, he said, I have one more play. What play? I turned myself in. Lena's blood went cold. What? The syndicate wants me. Not you. Not Raphael. Me. If I give them what they want, they'll stop. They'll kill you. Maybe. But everyone else lives. No. Lena's voice was shaking. Absolutely not. We don't. It's the only way. It's not. There's always another way. We can. What? Fight an organization that spans the entire East Coast? With 10 people and whatever weapons we can scrounge? Adrian shook his head. It's over, Lena. We lost. Then we lost together. No. You live. You get out. Raphael will make sure you're safe. I don't want to be safe without you. Her voice cracked. Tears were streaming down her face now. Adrian cupped her cheeks. I need you to do this for me. Please. No. Lena. I said no. She pulled away. You don't get to sacrifice yourself. You don't get to make that choice for me. Someone has to. Then we make it together, or we don't make it at all. Adrian stared at her. His chest was heaving. Then Raphael appeared in the doorway. We have a problem, he said. What now? Adrian asked. I just got a call. The syndicate knows where we are. Lena's stomach dropped. How? I don't know. But they're sending people. A lot of people. They'll be here within the hour. Adrian stood. Then we fortify. Set up defenses. Make them pay for every inch. Against how many? Raphael's expression was grim. Intel says at least 40, maybe more. 40 against 10. Yes. Adrian looked at Lena, then at his brother. Then we make our stand here, he said. Adrian, no more running, no more sacrifices. We fight, and either we win or we die trying. Raphael nodded slowly. Okay, then let's get ready. They moved inside, started preparing. Lena helped Raphael board up windows, set up firing positions, distribute ammunition. Adrian was on the phone, calling in every favor he had left, begging for reinforcements. By the time he hung up, his face was pale. Well? Raphael asked. 3 people are coming. That's all I could get. 3. Yes. So 13 against 40. Yes. Raphael laughed. It sounded slightly unhinged. We're going to die. Probably, Adrian agreed. Good. Raphael chambered around. Let's make it count. They had 30 minutes before the first vehicles appeared on the horizon. Black SUVs. 6 of them. Lena watched from the second-floor window. Her hands were steady now. The fear had burned away, left something harder in its place. Determination. She wasn't going to die here. Neither was Adrian. They were going to survive. Together. The SUVs stopped 50 yards from the cabin. Doors opened. Men poured out, armed, armored, more than 40. Lena counted at least 60. Her stomach twisted. A voice boomed through a megaphone. Adrian Calix, you're surrounded. Come out with your hands up and we'll make this quick. Adrian appeared beside Lena. That's Vincent Kane, the syndicate's head of operations. What do we do? We fight. Adrian moved to the window, opened it, shouted down. How about you come in and get me? Kane's response was immediate. Have it your way. He made a gesture. The men advanced. Here we go, Raphael said from downstairs. Lena raised her gun, aimed at the closest target, waited for Adrian's signal. Fire, he shouted. Gunfire erupted from every window. The syndicate soldiers dove for cover, returned fire. Bullets punched through the walls, shattered glass, splintered wood. Lena fired, reloaded, fired again. Beside her, Adrian was a machine. Calm, focused. Every shot counted. Downstairs, Raphael was shouting orders, coordinating the defense. The battle raged. Minutes felt like hours. Lena lost count of how many magazines she emptied. One of their people went down, then another. The syndicate kept coming. They're flanking! Someone shouted. Raphael ran to cover the back. Lena followed. 3 men were coming through the trees, moving fast. Raphael took out 2. The third got a shot off. It caught Raphael in the chest. He went down hard. No! Lena screamed. She fired, again and again, until the third man fell. Then she was beside Raphael, hands pressing against the wound. Blood poured between her fingers. "I'm okay," Raphael gasped. "It's just—" He coughed, blood on his lips. "Hang on," Lena said, tears blurring her vision. "Just hang on." Adrian appeared, saw his brother. His face went white. "Raphael—" "I'm fine," Raphael managed. "Just get them—" Another explosion, the front door. They were breaching. Adrian looked at Lena. "Get him upstairs. Barricade yourselves in." "What about you?" "I'll hold them." "Adrian, you can't— Go!" Lena grabbed Raphael under the arms, started dragging him. He was heavy, dead weight. She made it to the stairs, started pulling him up. Below, gunfire, shouting, the sound of Adrian fighting. She got Raphael to the second floor, into a bedroom, slammed the door, shoved a dresser in front of it. Raphael was barely conscious. Lena pressed her hands back against the wound. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please, stay with me." His eyes fluttered. "Tell Adrian. Tell him yourself. Tell him I'm sorry for doubting you." "Raphael." His eyes closed. "No, no, no, no." Lena shook him. "Raphael." No response. A sob tore from her throat. Then the bedroom window exploded. A man climbed through, gun raised. Lena grabbed her weapon, fired. The man dropped. Another one appeared. Lena fired again. Click. Empty. The man smiled, raised his gun. A shot rang out. The man fell. Adrian stood in the doorway, gun smoking. He looked at Raphael, at the blood, at Lena's face. "Is he—" "I don't know," Lena sobbed. Adrian crossed the room, checked for a pulse. His face crumbled. "He's alive," he said. "Barely, but alive." Relief flooded through Lena. "We need to get him out of here," Adrian said. "How? They're everywhere." Adrian moved to the window, looked out. The syndicate had pulled back, regrouping. "They're going to burn us out," he said quietly. "What?" "It's what I do. We're too fortified for a frontal assault, so they'll burn the building and pick us off when we run." As if on cue, smoke started rising from the first floor. "Shit," Adrian breathed. He turned to Lena. "There's a root cellar behind the kitchen. It leads to a tunnel. Comes out about 100 yards into the woods." "You knew about this the whole time?" "Oh, emergency exit. Raphael and I built it years ago." He grabbed her shoulders. "You take Raphael. Get him through the tunnel. I'll cover you." "What about you?" "I'll be right behind you." "Adrian, don't argue. Just go." Lena wanted to fight, but the smoke was thicker now. Her eyes were watering. "Okay," she said. They lifted Raphael together, got him down the stairs. The first floor was an inferno. Adrian led them through the flames, to the kitchen, pulled open a trapdoor hidden under a rug. "Go," he said. Lena lowered Raphael into the darkness, climbed down after him. "I'm right behind you," Adrian said. Then he closed the trapdoor. Lena heard it lock from above. "Adrian!" she screamed. "Adrian!" No response, just the sound of gunfire, and Adrian's voice, faint through the wood. "I love you." Then nothing. Lena stood in the darkness, Raphael bleeding beside her, and realized what Adrian had done. He'd lied. He wasn't coming. He was going to sacrifice himself, and there was nothing she could do to stop him. The tunnel was suffocating, dark and narrow, the walls pressing in like a coffin. Lena dragged Raphael through the darkness, his blood slicking her hands, her breath coming in ragged gasps that echoed off the stone. Behind her, above her, the world was burning. She could hear it. The crackle of flames, the thunder of gunfire. And underneath it all, the sound that made her want to scream, silence where Adrian's voice should be. Raphael groaned. His weight was getting heavier. Or maybe she was getting weaker. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please, just a little further." Her hands found the end of the tunnel. A ladder. Rusted rungs leading up to a wooden hatch. She climbed first, pushed against the hatch. It didn't budge. She pushed harder, her shoulders screaming, her legs trembling. The hatch gave way. Night air rushed in, cold and clean. Lena pulled herself up, turned back, reached down for Raphael. He was barely conscious, his face gray in the moonlight. She grabbed his arms, pulled with everything she had left. He came up inch by inch, until finally they were both lying in the grass, gasping, covered in blood and dirt and smoke. The cabin was 100 yards away, an inferno against the dark sky. Syndicate soldiers surrounded it, guns trained on every exit, and somewhere inside that hell, Adrian was alone. Lena forced herself to her feet, every muscle screaming in protest. Raphael's hand caught her ankle. "Don't. I have to. You'll die. Then I die." She pulled free, started walking toward the fire. Raphael's voice followed her, weak but firm. "He did this so you'd live. Don't make it meaningless." Lena stopped. Her hands were shaking, her vision blurred with tears and smoke. Raphael was right. Adrian had locked that trap door so she couldn't follow, so she couldn't throw her life away trying to save him. But God, it hurt. She sank to her knees in the grass and watched the cabin burn. The explosion came 10 minutes later. A massive fireball that lit up the sky. The roof caved in, walls collapsed. The Syndicate soldiers backed away from the heat, and Lena knew no one could survive that. The scream that tore from her throat was animal, raw, the kind of sound that came from a place deeper than words. Raphael pulled himself to her side, put an arm around her shoulders. They sat there in the darkness and watched Adrian's pyre burn. Time lost meaning. Minutes or hours? Lena didn't know. Eventually, the Syndicate soldiers started leaving, getting into their vehicles, driving away. They'd gotten what they came for. When the last SUV disappeared into the night, Lena stood. "Where are you going?" Raphael asked. "To find him." "Lena, I need to see." She walked toward the ruins. The heat hit her in waves, smoke stung her eyes. The cabin was gone, just a skeleton of charred wood and ash. She circled the wreckage, looking for something, anything, a body, evidence, proof that he was really Lena. She spun. Adrian stood 20 feet away, covered in soot and blood, limping, burned, but alive. Lena couldn't move, couldn't breathe. He took a step toward her, then another. "How?" Her voice broke. "The tunnel," Adrian said. "I followed you. Locked the hatch behind me so they'd think I was still inside, then circled back after they left." Lena ran to him, slammed into his chest so hard they both almost fell. He caught her, held her, buried his face in her hair. "I thought you were dead," she sobbed. "I know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She pulled back, hit his chest. "Don't you ever do that again." "I won't. You locked me in that tunnel to save you." "I don't need saving." "Yes, you do. We all do." Adrian cupped her face. "I couldn't let you die for me, Lena. I couldn't." Her anger crumbled. She kissed him, desperate and fierce. When they broke apart, both were crying. Raphael's voice cut through the moment. "Hate to interrupt, but I'm bleeding out over here." They turned. Raphael was on his back in the grass, pale, shaking. Adrian ran to him. Lena followed. The wound was bad. Worse than Lena had thought. The bullet had gone clean through, but the exit wound was ragged, bleeding too much. "We need a hospital," Adrian said. "Too risky," Raphael managed. "Syndicate will have people watching." "I don't care." "Adrian, you're not dying tonight. I won't allow it." Raphael laughed. It turned into a cough. Blood flecked his lips. "Not your choice." "The hell it's not." Adrian pulled out his phone, dialed. His hands were shaking. "I need a medic, now. Gunshot wound, critical." He gave coordinates. Hung up. Looked at Raphael. "Help's coming. Just hold on." "Always bossing me around." "Because you never listen." "Runs in the family." Adrian's throat worked. Don't you dare." Raphael's eyes were closing. "Tell Mom, I'm sorry." "You'll tell her yourself." But Raphael was unconscious. Adrian pressed his hands against the wound, applied pressure. "Come on, Raph, come on. Stay with me." Lena knelt beside him, added her hands to his. They stayed like that, blood seeping between their fingers, Adrian whispering prayers to a brother who couldn't hear him. 20 minutes later, headlights appeared. A van screeched to a stop. The same doctor from the clinic jumped out, 2 assistants with her. They worked fast. IV lines, pressure bandages, loading Raphael onto a stretcher. Will he make it? Adrian asked. The doctor didn't look up. I don't know. The next few hours will tell. They loaded Raphael into the van. Adrian climbed in after him. Lena started to follow. The doctor stopped her. There's only room for one. I'm not leaving, but Kiki. Lena. Adrian's voice was gentle. Go to the safe house, the one on Carpenter Street. I'll meet you there. Adrian, please, I need to know you're safe. Lena wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes stopped her. She nodded. Okay. But you call me the second you know something. I will. The van doors closed. Lena stood in the empty field and watched them drive away. Then she started walking. The safe house on Carpenter Street was a basement apartment in a building that should have been condemned decades ago. Peeling paint, broken windows, the smell of mold and despair. Lena let herself in with the key Adrian had given her weeks ago. Back when this was all just beginning, it felt like a lifetime. Inside, the apartment was sparse. A couch, a table, a mattress on the floor. Lena collapsed onto the couch. Every part of her hurt, her legs, her hands, her chest where her heart was trying to beat its way out. She closed her eyes, just for a moment. When she opened them again, sunlight was streaming through the grimy windows. Her phone was ringing. She grabbed it. Adrian? He's stable. Adrian's voice was exhausted. Still unconscious, but stable. The doctor says if he makes it through the next 24 hours, he'll probably survive. Lena's breath came out in a rush. Thank God! Yeah. A pause. Where are you? The safe house. Where are you? Still at the clinic. I'm not leaving until he wakes up. Do you need me to... Hush. No, stay there. Rest. You've been through hell. So have you. I'm used to it. Lena's throat tightened. Adrian, I need to go. The doctor's calling me. I'll check in later. He hung up before she could respond. Lena sat in the silence and tried to figure out what came next. But Adrian didn't call back for 18 hours. When he finally did, his voice was different, lighter. He's awake, he said, asking for food and complaining about everything. So I'd say he's fine. Lena laughed. It came out shaky. That's good. That's really good. Yeah. Adrian was quiet for a moment. Lena, we need to talk. Her stomach dropped. About what? About what happens now? Okay, when? Tonight. I'm coming to the safe house. We'll figure it out together. Okay. I love you. The words still hit her like a punch. I love you too. He hung up. Lena spent the rest of the day cleaning, scrubbing blood from under her fingernails, washing her hair 3 times to get the smoke out, trying to make herself feel human again. By the time Adrian arrived, the sun was setting. He looked like hell. Dark circles under his eyes, bruises mottling his face, burns on his hands from the fire. But he was alive. He pulled her into his arms the moment he stepped inside. They stood like that for a long time, just holding each other. Finally, Adrian pulled back. We need to talk about the syndicate. Lena's chest tightened. What about them? They think I'm dead. The cabin, the fire. They're satisfied. For now. Maybe longer. I've been thinking. He stopped, started again. What if we let them think that? Lena frowned. What do you mean? I mean, what if Adrian Calix stays dead? What if we walk away from all of this? Start over somewhere new names, new lives. You'd give up the business? There's no business left to give up. The syndicate burned it to the ground. Our people are scattered or dead. Our operations are compromised. Adrian's voice was flat. It's over. What about Raphael? He comes with us, once he's healed enough to travel. Lena searched his face. You're serious? Yes. Where would we go? I don't know. Europe, maybe. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere we can disappear. And do what? Adrian smiled. It was tired, but real. I don't know. Live. Be normal. Wake up without wondering if today's the day someone puts a bullet in my head. Lena felt something crack open in her chest. Hope. Dangerous and fragile. You really think we could do that? She asked. I think we have to try because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep putting you in danger. I can't. His voice broke. I almost lost you, and Raphael. And if I keep going down this path, I will lose you. It's just a matter of time. Lena took his hands. Then we walk away, together. Adrian's eyes were wet. You'd really do that? Leave everything behind? I already did. The moment I chose you. He kissed her, soft and slow, like they had all the time in the world. Maybe they did. But They left Chicago 3 weeks later. Raphael was weak but mobile. The bullet had missed anything vital, just muscle and tissue. He'd heal. Adrian liquidated what assets he could, transferred money to offshore accounts, destroyed records, burned bridges. By the time they boarded a plane to Barcelona, Adrian Calix was officially dead. The man who sat beside Lena in economy class was someone else, someone without a past, someone who could smile without it looking like a threat. Lena watched him sleep on the flight, his head on her shoulder, his hand in hers. Raphael sat across the aisle, headphones on, eyes closed. They looked like a normal family, tired travelers heading somewhere warm. No one would ever know what they'd been through, what they'd done, who they'd lost. And maybe that was for the best. Right. Barcelona was warm, bright, the kind of city where people lived loudly and loved harder. They rented an apartment in Gracia, small but comfortable, a balcony overlooking a plaza where musicians played and children ran. Adrian got a job at a construction company. Nothing fancy, just honest work that left him exhausted at the end of the day. Raphael opened a bar, something small, neighborhood, the kind of place where regulars knew your name. And Lena went back to school, enrolled in a program for translators, spent her days learning Catalan and her nights practicing with Adrian. They built a life, piece by piece, day by day. It wasn't perfect. Adrian still had nightmares, still woke up reaching for a gun that wasn't there. Raphael drank too much sometimes, stared at nothing and saw ghosts. And Lena carried the weight of everything they'd done, every body, every choice. But they carried it together. 6 months after they arrived, Adrian proposed. They were on the balcony, watching the sun set over the city, drinking wine that was too cheap to be good, but somehow tasted perfect. He didn't get down on one knee, didn't make a speech, just pulled out a ring, simple, silver, no diamond, and said, "Marry me." Lena looked at him, at the scars on his hands, the lines around his eyes that hadn't been there a year ago, the way he smiled now, real, unguarded. "Yes," she said. They got married 2 weeks later, at a small chapel near the beach. Raphael was the only witness, no family, no friends, no one from their old lives, just the three of them, and the ocean, and a future that felt possible. Twag. 1 year later, Lena stood in their apartment, hands on her stomach, staring at the pregnancy test on the bathroom counter. Positive. She'd suspected for weeks. The nausea, the exhaustion, the way her body felt different, but seeing it confirmed. She didn't know what she felt. Fear, joy, terror, hope, all of it at once. Adrian came home an hour later, dusty and tired. He kissed her hello. "You okay?" he asked. "You look pale." Lena handed him the test. He stared at it, his expression unreadable. Then he looked at her. "Are you—" "I think so, yes." Adrian set the test down, pulled her close. "We're going to have a baby." "Yeah, a baby." Lena felt him shaking. "Are you scared?" "Terrified." "Me too." He pulled back, looked at her, really looked at her. "But we'll figure it out, like we figure out everything else. Together." Together. Their daughter was born on a rainy night in March. 7 pounds. Dark hair. Eyes that would eventually turn the same shade as Adrian's. They named her Sophia, after no one, just because they liked the sound. Adrian held her for the first time and cried, not the silent tears Lena had seen before, real, shaking sobs. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing." He looked up, his face streaked with tears. "Everything's right. For the first time in my life, everything's right." Lena understood. This was what they'd been fighting for. Not power, not territory, not revenge. This, a quiet room, a sleeping baby, a life where the worst thing they had to worry about was whether they'd bought enough diapers. It was ordinary, simple, beautiful. Rafael became the best uncle anyone could ask for. He taught Sofia Spanish curse words when she was 2. Adrian pretended to be mad. He told her stories about dragons and princesses, carefully edited versions that left out the blood. And when she asked what he used to do before the bar, he said, "I helped your dad build things." It wasn't entirely a lie. But sports, I will some seconds. 5 years passed. Then 10. Adrian's hair started going gray. Raphael's limp got worse. Lena found her first wrinkle and decided she'd earned it. Sofia grew up speaking 3 languages. She was smart, curious, stubborn in the way Adrian was stubborn. She asked about their past sometimes, where they came from, why they didn't have family. Adrian always said the same thing: "We're your family, that's all that matters." She seemed satisfied with that. For now. On Sofia's 10th birthday, they went to the beach, the same beach where Adrian and Lena had gotten married. Sofia ran ahead, chasing waves, laughing. Raphael walked beside them, using a cane now, but smiling. "You ever miss it?" he asked Adrian. "Miss what?" "The old life, the power, the control." Adrian was quiet for a long moment. "Sometimes. Not the violence, but the certainty. Knowing exactly who I was and what I was supposed to do." "And now?" "Now I know who I am. Just took me a while to figure it out." Raphael nodded. "Yeah, me too." They walked in silence. Then Raphael said, "You think they'll ever find us? The syndicate?" "Yeah." Adrian looked at his brother. "Honestly, I don't know. Maybe. But if they do, we'll deal with it." "How?" "However we have to." Raphael smiled. "Still the same Adrian." "Not the same. Better." "Yeah, you are." That night, after Sofia was asleep, Adrian and Lena sat on the balcony. The city was quiet, just the distant sound of music and laughter. "Do you ever regret it?" Adrian asked. "Regret what?" "Choosing me. Staying. All of it." Lena looked at him, at the man he'd become, the father, the husband, the person who'd learned that strength wasn't just about control. "No," she said, "not once." "Even with everything that happened?" "Especially with everything that happened, because it brought us here." Adrian took her hand. "I don't deserve you." "You keep saying that, because it's true." "Maybe. But I'm here anyway." She smiled. "And I'm not going anywhere." Adrian pulled her close, kissed the top of her head. They sat like that, holding each other, watching the city sleep. And for the first time in as long as either could remember, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a gift. Somewhere in Chicago, in a room filled with monitors and files, a man marked a case as closed: Adrian Calix, deceased. The syndicate had moved on, found new enemies, new territories. They'd forgotten about the man who'd burned their operations center, who'd killed their soldiers, who'd cost them millions. He was just a ghost now, a cautionary tale, and ghosts couldn't hurt anyone. Yet, Sofia asked one more time about their past when she turned 18. They were sitting at dinner, just the 4 of them. Raphael was telling a story about a customer at the bar. Sofia waited until he finished, then said, "I know you're lying." Everyone went silent. "About what?" Adrian asked carefully. "About who you were, before Barcelona." Sofia's voice was steady. "I'm not a kid anymore. I can handle the truth." Adrian and Lena exchanged a look. Raphael leaned back in his chair. "What do you want to know?" "Everything." So they told her. Not all of it, not the worst parts, but enough. About Chicago, about the business, about the violence and the choices and the people they'd been, about the cabin that burned, the tunnel, the decision to walk away. Sofia listened without interrupting. When they finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Do you regret it? What you did?" Adrian thought about it. Really thought about it. "I regret the people who died," he said finally. "I regret the pain I caused, but I don't regret the choices that brought me here. To this table. To you." Sophia nodded. "Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's messed up, but you're still my dad. And you're still you." Something in Adrian's chest loosened. "Yeah, I am. So can we have dessert now?" Raphael laughed. Kid's got her priorities straight. Years later, long after Raphael was gone, long after Sophia had children of her own, Adrian and Lena sat on the same balcony, older now, grayer, slower. The city had changed, so had they, but some things stayed the same. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Lena asked. It was a question she'd asked 100 times over the years. Always got the same answer, but Adrian surprised her. "I don't know," he said. "I think we made the only choice we could, and we lived with the consequences. That's all anyone can do." "That's not very reassuring." "No, but it's honest," Lena smiled. "You've gotten better at that." "At what?" "Honesty." Adrian took her hand. "I had a good teacher." They sat in the fading light, two people who'd been through hell and come out the other side. Not unscathed, not unchanged, but alive. And in the end, that was enough. Psych. The final image was this: a balcony overlooking Barcelona, the sun setting in streaks of gold and red, an old man and an old woman, holding hands. Behind them, through the open door, laughter. Grandchildren playing, the sounds of a life lived, a choice made, a future earned. And somewhere in the distance, the city hummed, indifferent to their story, indifferent to their scars, just another chapter in an endless book. But for them, it was everything. Adrian squeezed Lena's hand. She squeezed back, and they watched the sun go down on a life they'd built from ash and blood, and the stubborn refusal to let the darkness win. It hadn't been easy, it hadn't been clean, but it had been theirs, and that in the end was all that mattered.